Well, hello, good morning, everyone. And Mr. Chaurasia, hello, sir. Hello, Anushka. Hi. Hi, Ajay. So, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the show, this event called RT99, right? Race to 99 percentile. And this is a round two of this event, right? So, let me take you through what we did in the round one so that we know what to expect in the round two and what is going to follow in the future. So, first of all, I'll start with my favorite thing to say, right? That you are here on a Sunday morning, and that shows us how serious you are. Doesn't matter what your percentile or score in your mock is right now, right? Because you can get where you want to be. If you have a goal, it is easy to breach if you are serious and sincere about it. And if you are here, that means you are sincere about it. So that is how I look at this. So good morning again. Uh, Round one. So last month we started with RT99, raised to 99 percentile with the Headstart round one. In the last month's session, which was a 4 hour long session where three of the top faculty members, including Gautam Puri, Gautam Bawa, and Aks, had come to talk to you about the various subjects. And of course, I am your host, Sazil Shah, right? So in the first round, we solved the CAT 2024 Slot-1 ka paper. And we discussed strategies and jugaad solutions and how best to score, right? In a short 4 hour session, we were able to do that. This is the second such session, this is the round two of Head Start, where we are going to cover CAT 2023 Slot-1, which means in the last round, we did 24 ka paper, PYQs. In this round, we are going to do 23 ka PYQ, Slot-1. And in the next round, exactly 1 month from now, we'll be doing a round three, which will have a CAT 2022 ka Slot-1. So we are covering the Slot-1 paper of 3 different years. So you can know that the CAT is not one level, right? CAT is not one thing. So you can't say that CAT may Quant will be at this level always, or DI will be at this level always, or verbal will be at this level always. There is no single level as far as CAT is concerned, right? In fact, the only surprise that they can drop in your exam is the difficulty levels of the question papers that change, right? And hence, I need to know how to handle those. That is the idea. Okay, so in this session, we are going to exactly cover and solve. By the way, we are going to solve CAT 2023 Slot-1 paper, and we are going to cover the strategy of how to go about getting the best score possible with my preparation wherever it is right now. Once we've completed these 3 rounds, we will go into more detail with RT99, where we will be doing in August, we'll be doing an online session with a different slot. Hopefully, that will be Slot-2 or Slot-3 of CAT 24. And we will go and discuss that in such detail that we will spend 2 days in August doing that particular paper. What we are doing in 4 hours right now, right, we'll be doing it across 2 days, 4 sessions, a total of 12 hours. So that is how much detail we'll go into. So this is a precursor to that. So, well, let's begin. The first speaker who's going to talk to you is our own favorite, Mr. Ravi Teja. So, Ravi, can we have Ravi on the screen also with me? So, Ravi needs no introduction. Ravi has been teaching you DILR and some bit of quant also, right? He is one of your favorite faculty members. So, very soon Ravi will be joining us. Neha, is Ravi on? Has he joined already? So till Ravi comes in, to the students, I must say that please make sure that you do not miss a single RT99 session. We keep sending you mails and reminders for the same. So make sure you don't miss it out, because no one is going to solve as many PYQs for you as we do through RT99. Right? So make sure that you attend all of these sessions, and we come up with the strategies and jugaad solutions which help us solve those CAT level questions or actual CAT questions in an easier and a very क्या बोलते हैं, shortcut is a wrong word. People say tips and techniques, that's a wrong word, but a logical or logic based solving of questions, even if you don't know the theory of it. मैं quant की बात भी कर रहा हूँ, for example. So if I've not studied a particular subject, let's say time, speed and distance, but can I find a way to still solve the question and get my answer right? That is what we call jugaad solutions. So right, so you would have been, if you are a test series students, you would be watching those GPK jugaad solutions for the test series also, right? So make sure that you do. Another one or two announcements before we start off. The first announcement that we have is daily dose has begun. So I hope you are solving daily dose on a daily basis, because in the morning 3 o'clock daily dose starts and night 12 midnight it closes. So you don't get the test again if you don't solve it on that day. The idea is that you solve that test every day. All those of you who have test series as a product in your product basket will definitely have daily dose as a part of your course. Those of you who don't, you can purchase it. Well, I'll cut this short, and because Ravi is already here. Good morning, Ravi.
Good morning, Sajil. I hope I'm clearly audible and visible.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So without any further ado, I will just pass it on to you. Please take it forward.
Yeah. Thank you,
Yeah.
Sajil. Yeah. So I almost gave Sajil and team a heart attack before this session because I was not taking their calls for the last 1 hour. Sorry for that, Sajil, Neha, Shruti, and Aratrika. I'm sorry for that. I was busy with something else, but here I am. Let's get started with the session for today. I'm just presenting my slides. Sajil, can you just acknowledge if you can
Sure.
see it?
Not yet, but yeah, let's
Right
see
now?
if it's. Yes, now I can see it.
All right. So fair enough. So hi, I am Ravi, and I am going to take you through the quant paper of CAT 2023. The philosophy behind race to 99 in general is not to teach you something that you that you learn in the classrooms. It is basically to take you through the thought process, the mind behind, the mindfulness behind being able to solve questions, even if you may not always know exactly how to solve those questions. So that is what we term as jugaad as well. So I'm going to take you through the 22 questions that were there in the CAT 2023 slot 1. And before we begin to solve those questions, I'm also going to put a timer for 40 minutes, because 40 minutes is what students were getting in the paper. So given that, you may always argue that I already have the advantage of having seen the questions before. So adding to that, the disadvantage is that I am going to explain each of the questions that I am solving. So उधर का टाइम और इधर का टाइम कट होके exactly 40 minutes में मैं पेपर में क्या करता, that is the kind of thing that I am going to take you through in this particular session, right? So I hope you have already seen the CAT 2023 slot 1 paper. Even if not, try to attend this, and try to understand the presence of mind, or the logic behind eliminating options, or the logic behind deciding whether to solve a question or not. So basically, two things is what primarily I am going to take you through. One is whether to solve a question right now or later, or whether to completely leave a question. That is number one. Number two being whether or not, if you decide to solve a question, how to go about it without wasting much of your time, irrespective of the logic of the question or not. Sometimes knowing the logic of the question is the only way. Sometimes having your presence of mind present with you, sitting aside you and telling you ki boss ye lal button hai nahi dabana hai, is very, very important. And that is what we are going to take you through in this particular session. So let us begin. Before we begin, let me just okay, fair enough. Yeah. So this was the exam pattern last year. There were 22 questions in the quantitative ability section, which lead to 66 marks. But if you are wondering how much, I'm pretty sure already there were a lot of strategy sessions. The first part of Race to 99 that happened about a month ago itself, We have told you, the GP sir and Sazil and other people have told you already what kind of marks lead to what kind of percentile in quant. For the last 2-3 years, it has been consistent that about 4 to 5 questions in the quant section, 4 to 5 questions in the quant section is what will lead you to a minimum of 80th percentile, and that is what we have been seeing. Even if you look at CAT 2024, you can say that okay, about 4 questions is what will give you that 80th percentile, and about 5 questions in quant is what will give you that 85th percentile. So someone who is starting just now, right, your goal ideally, though the end goal is to probably get that 99 plus 5, 99.5th percentile in the quant section, but you need to understand one thing that to be able to secure a seat in the IIMs, or to be able to even secure a call from the IIMs, you require to clear the sectional cutoff, and the minimum sectional cutoff is the 85th percentile. So about 5 questions out of 22, that's about only 25% of the entire paper is what we are telling you कि इतना तो minimum आना ही चाहिए, और इतने question तो आराम से मिल जाएंगे पेपर में, and I'm going to show you that, right? And about half of the questions, 12 marks, 12 questions, 33 marks, that is 11 questions net correct, 33 marks is what is going to take you through the 99th percentile. So when you look at the 99th percentile goal, tell yourself that you are looking at about 50% questions in the paper. That means you get freedom to leave 1 out of every 2 questions. You can leave 1 out of every 2 questions. You have to solve only 1 out of every 2 questions to get you to the 99th percentile. But those of you who are banking on quant as a section, for whom quant is the point of strength, look at trying to get 13-14 questions correct in the quant section and make quant your hero. So that is also pretty much possible. There will be in typically in a 22 question paper, you will see that about 6 to 8 questions are on the easier side, 4 to 5 questions are on the difficult side, and the remaining questions will be on the medium side. So if you can solve easy questions, all of the easy questions, and 50% of the moderate questions, you are probably there. You are there at the 99th percentile in the quant section, and that is the philosophy behind this particular class, right? So let me, and also see, basically if you look at the weightage of different modules in the quant overall in the last 5-6 years, you can see one thing is very consistent, that arithmetic and algebra add up to about 60 to 70% of the entire paper. 60 to 70% of the entire paper comes from arithmetic and algebra, and the remaining comes from geometry, mensuration, and number system. But having said that, number system is not a topic that I would suggest anyone to leave. Geometry is not a topic I would suggest anyone to leave. Why? Because we are still 8 months to go to the exam. एग्जाम को अभी 8 महीना बचा है यार. अभी से टॉपिक छोड़ने का क्यों सोच रहे? While preparing, you prepare for every topic alike. You try to master every topic while solving questions in the paper. Then decide ki because I know geometry, because I know properties of triangles, I know that this question is very lengthy, main ye nahi karunga. That is when you will be able to take a very, very well-informed, conscious decision about which question to solve and which question not to solve. If you don't know the minimum of geometry, मतलब geometry पूरा बाहर से ही छोड़ के जा रहे हो, फिर तो कैसे आप अच्छा decision लोगे? If you don't even know what that question means. So that is why I request all of you, because there is enough time still to go to the exam, try to be a master of all of the topics there. When you practice 100, 120, 150 questions of each of the topics out there, you will at least be able to understand कौन सा easy है, कौन सा difficult है, और किस तरह का solve करना चाहिए और किस तरह का solve नहीं करना चाहिए, किस तरह का मैंने देखा है, किस तरह का मैंने नहीं देखा है. This is primarily what I would want to bring to your notice, right? Having said that, among arithmetic also, time, speed, distance, time and work, profit, loss, simple interest, compound interest, and basic percentages and ratios and mixtures and average. ये 8 क्वेश्चन हर बार होते हैं. Every paper will have 8 questions from these 8 topics. And from algebra, see, you will typically see 1 odd question from quadratic equation, even 2. 1 odd question from logarithm. I think 2023 was the only CAT where logarithm questions were not there in one of the slots, right? Otherwise, logarithm is always there in all of the slots. At least 1 question of logarithm is what you can find in every slot. Functions ka ekad question, pattern based question, you will be able to find in all of the slots, right? Coming to geometry, geometry is very vast in nature, but at least properties of triangles, property of circles, and a little bit of polygons. When it comes to polygons, you are looking at quadrilaterals and hexagons, right? Those are the two kind of numbers that topics that you will be questioned on, right? So yeah, this is a very important slide to my mind. One question improvement from this to this takes you to the sectional percentile. One question improvement from the 75th percentile. Now someone may say कि मैं 50th percentile पे हूँ. If someone is at the 50th percentile, that means you are getting 1 to 2 questions right. 2 questions का improvement from there is taking you to the 80th, 85th percentile, which is the sectional cutoff. 2 to 3 questions, and you have enough and more mocks to come, enough or more tests to take. So if your target is to get to the 99th percentile, and if you are here, try to improve by one question in every 2 mocks and you are there. One question in every 2 mocks and you are there at the 12th question. One question that you were doing wrong, or one question you missed out in the previous paper, if you are able to do it in the next paper, you are there. You are there at the 99th percentile, and that is what you need to realize. 99th percentile is not a hoax. ऐसा 99th percentile कुछ ऐसा नहीं है जो असंभव है एकदम. It is pretty much doable if you are able to identify कौन से क्वेश्चन करने हैं और कौन से क्वेश्चन छोड़ देने हैं और जो करने हैं उनको किस तरह से करने हैं, right? So this is again an interesting slide. Now this was taken from the response sheets of students who submitted their response sheets with us after the CAT 2023 Slot-1 paper, and we realized one thing, that if you have not seen this kind of a graph before, let me explain. There is area graph ऐसा जो चल रहा है, this one, and then there is bar graph. The area graph, this one, is the attempt percentage. What it means is that question 5 was attempted by about 70% people, and question 7 was attempted by about 65% people, right? While question 9, or you can say question 16, was attempted by about 80% people. And the bar graphs talk about the accuracy. Among the people who have attempted this, question 2 has 90% accuracy. So the questions with maximum accuracy, we have coded it green. The medium difficulty level questions are in yellow, and the high difficulty level questions are in red over here, right? What we need to identify is, as I said, there are 5 greens in this paper. There are 5 greens in this paper, right? And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 yellows in this paper. That means if you are able to solve all of the 5 greens and half of the yellows, which is 5 yellows, you are there. You are there at 10 questions. That is very much close to the 98th percentile in the quant paper, right? And if you are a good student and you have studied enough and you have practiced enough, getting 5 out of these 10 questions is average, is what I am saying. If you can get 6, 7 out of those 10, you are there very well above the 99th percentile, which is pretty much up for the takings in the paper. But what I need you to understand is, from this slide, one very important thing you need to identify here is, see, question 2 was the easiest question, because out of the people who attempted it, 90% people got it right. But unfortunately, question 2 was only attempted by 50% of the paper, 50% of the people attempting the paper, which is bad. That means it is a judgment lapse. People made a wrong judgment about question 2, thinking that it is a tough question. They thought it's a tough question. Whether it is tough or not, let us see while we solve it, right? Again, question 3 was answered correctly by 63% of the people, but only about 20% of the people attempted the question. That is where they missed out. That is why you can typically see this kind of a pattern is consistent across all the papers. Question 9 was easy question, identified by enough number of people, gotten correct by enough number of people also. But if you look at the same for question 11, boss, only 30% people attempted this question with an 80% accuracy. This was a question up for grabs and people missed out on this. So our goal in the preparation is to identify those questions जो बिल्कुल miss out नहीं करना चाहिए, और जो नहीं miss out करना चाहिए उसको attempt करो. The reason why at 4 questions, 5 questions, people are able to get 90th percentile, 80th percentile in the quant paper is primarily because a lot of students fail to identify which kind of questions to solve, on what basis you are taking that decision. So during this 40-minute period, starting here, I am going to take you through the attempt strategy called R1, R2, R3. Okay. Round 1, you look at the questions, find the easiest. So you look at question 1, you go in the paper from question 1 to question 22. So let us say there is a question for which the logic is known to you and the calculation seems to be good. The calculation seems to be not very difficult. मतलब the logic is known to you और आपको calculation दिख रहा है, 2-3 step में हो जाएगा. That is a question that will qualify for me as round 1. This is a question that will qualify for me as round 1, and the time that I will typically take to solve this question will be 2 to 3 minutes. Under 3 minutes, any question I can solve immediately by looking at it. There is familiarity, I know the logic and I know the calculation. 2 to 3 minutes. If you read the question and you are able to understand the logic and the calculation seems somewhat thoda sa lengthy, ho sakta hai isme gadbad ho, that is a kind of question I will qualify for round 2. I know that it is going to take about 4 to 5 minutes. Even up to 4 to 5 minutes is okay. You may end up solving it in very less time also. You may end up solving that question later on in round 2 in the third minute itself, second or third minute itself. And then there is a third type of question जिसका देख के हवा ही नहीं लगा. The logic itself is not. अरे logic ही नहीं पता तो calculation का क्या करेंगे boss? कुछ भी नहीं आएगा अपने को. These are the kind of questions which are qualified as round 3 for me. So the action for round 1 question is solve immediately. Action for round 2 question is come back, mark for review. And the action for round 3 is leave. Beat rabbit. So action for round 1 question is go Rohit Sharma. Action for round 2 question is go Kohli. Take it slow. Come back. Build. Then come back if you have time. And the action for round 3 question is beat rabbit. Chhona hi nahi hai. Right? So that is how I will typically look at round 1, round 2 and round 3 questions. So without further ado, let me just put a calculator नहीं क्या बोलते हैं उसको, stopwatch on screen, so that we are finishing it off in the next 40 minutes. And I'm going to time it to 40 minutes. Right? So in this 40 minutes, I'm going to take you through the 22 questions that are there. Right? And more importantly, I'm not going to give you solutions to all 22 questions, but I'm going to tell you what qualifies as round 1, why it qualifies as round 1, and whether to solve it or not. R2, what qualifies as round 2 and what qualifies as round 3. So it is a mindset kind of a session. It is not a solution kind of a session. I hope that is very, very clear. Right? So to start with, the first question, the very first question that was in front of people in the paper over here is that if x and y are real numbers, I'm just going to start this timer off. Yeah. So if x and y are real numbers such that x square plus x minus 2y minus 1 whole square is equal to minus 4y into x plus y, then what is the value of x minus 2y? So what is the question asking me over here? See, one thing that people make a mistake in is question देख के उसका nature देख के छोड़ना start कर देते हैं. Right? Read a question, put pen on paper and then decide कि क्या होने वाला है. So x square दिया है, so there is some square here, so I have something like a square and again a square and I have an RHS. And the question is asking me to have x minus 2y, find x minus 2y. And x minus 2y already is there in the bracket. So the first instinct that generally comes to a lot of people is, जो भी ऐसा bracket में square दिया है, I try to convert it into something, मतलब I try to expand it. But boss, this is an a plus b plus c kind of a expansion, and we are not trained well in that. We are trained well in a plus b whole square kind of a expansion. 3 terms है, पता नहीं क्या होगा, but yes, ऐसा बहुत difficult मेरे को लग नहीं रहा है. I'll mark this as round 2 and I'll come back because I have understood the logic of the question, not the complete logic though, but I don't think that this is something that is impossible or out of the world. There are options also given to me, so I will consider to coming back to this question. Currently I'm marking this as round 2. Let's look at the second question. Now, x and y are positive real numbers such that log base x square plus 12 is equal to 4 and 3 log x to the base y is equal to 1. Then the question is asking what is x plus y. Question is asking what is x plus y. So wait a minute. Where is x and y both present? So this was one equation that was given to us, and this was another one equation that was given to us. So this is an equation that has x and y, both of them. So we have 3 log x to the base y is equal to 1. So this 3 goes up here and this becomes log x cube to the base y equal to 1. So when you open the log, this y will go here and x cube will be equal to y. The question is asking me what is the value of x plus y. X cube is equal to y. So the question is actually asking me what is the value of x cube plus x. Now I have options over here. And I am supposed to find x cube plus x. So if I am supposed to find x cube plus x, then the answer, the option, there must be at least one option that is of the form x cube plus x. Let us find it out. I have 11. 11 is not of the form x cube plus x. I will eliminate it. 20 is not of the form x cube plus x. 10 is of the form 2 cube plus 2. And 68 is of the form 4 cube plus 4. So there are two possible answers here, two possible options which could be answers here. What is the next step? Substitute. Now that you have come down to the conclusion that x will either be equal to 2 or it will be equal to 4, substitute x is equal to 2 or 4 in one of the equations and check. So for example, in this, if log, I am substituting x is equal to 2 to check. Log to the base 2 x square plus 12. X square plus 12 is what? 2 square plus 12. Is that equal to 4? Log to the base 2, we have 16 in the bracket. Is that equal to 4? Yes. So this satisfies. So x must be equal to 2. X is equal to 2 satisfies. So that is my answer. So if you notice, we have solved this question well within 3 minutes while explaining. We have solved this question well within 3 minutes because logarithm questions, they don't go beyond those 5-6 different rules that you learn in logarithms. Try to put pen on paper and try to see if options are helpful. If options were not there, then probably, if number of solutions type question hota, then probably I would think twice before solving it. But this is a question I will calculate as round 1. What is the jugaad in this? Eliminate the options. The impossible, and substitute to rule out the other option. So 68 is not required. 10 is directly the answer to me in this question. That brings us to the third question. Now, root of 5x plus 9 plus root of 5x minus 9 is equal to 3 into 2 plus root 2. Now, this is irrational numbers. Something irrational is happening over here. But wait a second. The question is also asking me for root of 10x plus 9, boss. The question is also asking me for root of 10x plus 9. Now, what can I do? The first instinct that comes to our mind whenever we look at a question that involves x is to find x. But that is not probably what is required all the time. For example, even in the first question, the question was asking to find us x minus 2y, and x minus 2y already yahan tha na, to usko chhedna nahi hai. Even similarly, here the question is not asking us to find x. The question is actually asking us to find 10x plus 9. So ये 5x plus 9, 5x minus 9 को छेड़ के क्या मिलेगा? कुछ नहीं मिलेगा. So that is giving me an idea. That is giving me some idea here. On the right hand side, I have 3 into 2, which is 6. And on the right hand side, I have 3 plus root 2, which is also 3 root 2. So I have something rational plus irrational. और रैशनल इरेशनल मिलते नहीं है ड्यूरिंग समेशन, वो मिलते नहीं है. एंड आई हैव 5 root of 5x plus 9 over here and root of 5x minus 9 over here, which is equal to 6 plus 3 root 2. Now root of 5x plus 9 is larger and root of 5x minus 9 is smaller. Among the two items on the left hand side, I know that 5x plus 9 is larger and 5x minus 9 is smaller. Obvious reasons है, 18 का difference है and the 5x plus 9 is greater. And on the right hand side, I have 6 and 3 root 2. 3 into root 2 is 4.2. So I am looking at again 6 to be a larger number and 3 root 2 to be a smaller number. So मेरा जुगाड़ यही है यहाँ पे that I will try to say that 5x plus 9, if root of 5x plus 9 is equal to 6, identify if root of 5x minus 9 is equal to 3 root 2 is true or not. If it is true, then you have solved the question. So 5x plus 9 is equal to 6. Root of 5x plus 9 is equal to 6 would mean 5x plus 9 is equal to 36. That means 5x is equal to 27. So 5x is equal to 27. So root of 5x minus 9 becomes root 18, which is exactly equal to 3 root 2. So satisfies. So 5x is equal to 27. Question is asking me root of 10x plus 9. Question is asking me root of 10x plus 9. 10x will be 54. So the question is asking me root of 54 plus 9, which is root of 63, which is equal to 3 root 7. That becomes our answer. So what did we do? We just only used some presence of mind over here. This is definitely a round 1 question here, because या तो तुमको खुलता हुआ दिखेगा या फिर खुलता हुआ नहीं दिखेगा. खुलता हुआ दिख रहा है तो बना दो सीधा, और नहीं दिख रहा है तो छोड़ दो. I may not exactly know the logic of the question. I still don't know how to find x. अगर आप मेरे को पूछो इस क्वेश्चन में x कैसे फाइंड करना, मेरे को नहीं पता है, नहीं आता है मेरे को. But I know how to find 10x plus 9, and that is what matters. So always look at what is your end goal when you are solving the question. Question में end में पूछा क्या है? X पूछा कि 10x plus 9. तो 5x plus 9 को क्यों छेड़ना? मत छेड़ो. Don't try to find x. Try to find 5x plus 9, and your job would be much more easier in such a scenario. The other thing one could have done in this question is saying that, okay, both of these brackets have a 3. On the right hand side, everything has a 3. That means 5x plus 9 is a multiple of 3. In fact, multiple of 9. And this is also a multiple of 9. तभी 3 बाहर आएगा bracket से. Under root से 3 बाहर आएगा तभी. Both of them must be a multiple of 9. So 5x plus 9, if that is a multiple of 9, 10x plus 9 is also a multiple of 9. So if 10x plus 9 is also a multiple of 9, then 3 तो बाहर आना चाहिए square root के. So option 1 and option 3 were not possible answers itself. Option 1 and option 3 were not possible answers itself. So using one of the options, say 3 root 7, you could have assumed 10x plus 9 is equal to square root of 10x plus 9 is 3 root 7 and reverse solve the question to verify, and आपका answer फिर भी बैठ जाता. So this is a round 1 question again to me. The jugaad in this is essentially to keep your mind open when you are solving the question. Don't solve for फालतू की चीजें. Don't solve for x, solve for what is asked, right? That is an intermediate step अगर x find करना है तो. Okay, now this is a much more process oriented question. Let's read the question and try to understand. Let n be the least positive integer such that 168 is a factor of 1134 power n. First thing, whenever you see a question like this, when a is a factor of b power n kind of a question, whenever you look at this kind of a question, you have to factorize 168 and 1134. And unfortunately, 168 is something that I can still factorize 21 is to 8 into 8. 1134 का factors find करने को ही मेरे को थोड़ा time लगेगा, but ऐसा नहीं है कि मैं नहीं कर पाऊंगा. If m is the least positive integer such that 1134 power n is a factor of 168 power m, then m plus n equals. So this is a kind of question that you frequently see in the mocks. मतलब आता रहता है इस type का question. Lekin at this point, the numbers are not very convincing to me. I mean, the numbers are not very easy to my mind. 168, 1134, I don't like these numbers immediately. It's not that I don't know the logic of this. I know the logic of this. but I know for sure that this is a much more process oriented question. 5-6 स्टेप है वो पूरा करना पड़ेगा, उसके बाद ही आंसर आएगा. So the process is what is making me sad. That is why this becomes a round 2 question. If time permits, if there is time, I will come back to this question, but I am not going to solve this question probably immediately. That brings us to the next question. So now this is a question that a lot of people I feel have missed out on. The accuracy is 38% and the attempt is also 66.9% only. Now, let A and B be the two distinct roots of the equation. A and B be the two distinct roots of the equation 2x square minus 6x plus k equal to 0, such that A plus B and AB are the distinct roots of the equation A. Then find the value of 8k minus p. So basically there are two unknowns, k and p. Our job is to either find k minus p or to find k and p and answer the question. Now, if you have attended any class of quadratic equation, or if you have seen any paper of quant, the kind of questions that come on quadratic equation depend on the logics of sum of roots and or product of roots. Sum of roots and product of roots. Much more likely, because there are no options present over here. This is a more process oriented question. It's not that इसका logic अपन खोल ही नहीं पाएंगे. Logic अपन खोल लेंगे because sum of roots, product of roots के बाहर कुछ जाता ही नहीं है. In general, in quadratic equation, right? I know the logic of sum of roots and product of roots, but this looks like a more process oriented question. So I will keep this for round 2 again. I will come back to this question if time permits. That brings us to question 6. The equation x cube plus, first of all, we are not mentally trained to see a cube in life. But ठीक है. Those of you who are engineers would say कि यार ये तो बहुत easy question है. But x cube plus 2r this and plus 4r minus 1 into x plus 2 has minus 2 as one of the roots. Now if you know the sum of roots, product of roots for higher degree equation, cubic equation, then this is a question that is doable. But even then, for those who think it is doable, if the other two roots are real, then the minimum possible non-negative integer value of r, minimum possible non-negative integer value of r, minimum possible, that means there are multiple possibilities. यार तुमको r के multiple values मिलने हैं, मिल सकते हैं, उनमें से minimum तुमको देखना है. ऐसा कोई गारंटी नहीं है कि जो तुमको मिला वो ही मिनिमम है. So that is a little alarm to me at this point. This is probably round 3 to me because there is no options. There are no options. Second, even after there are no options, it's a cubic equation. I am not very comfortable solving cubic equations. Number 3 is that the question type is asking me minimum possible value. That means r का कोई पक्का value नहीं है. So that is where I would put it as R3 for me and not solve it at all. Now this is in particular a question 7 that I feel lot of people made a gross error in judgment. There is only 64 people who attempted it out of 100 and only 31% people got it right here. Come on. The number of integer solutions of this. Now देखो क्या ही हो जाएगा ज्यादा से ज्यादा. I am looking at cubic or quadratic. ज्यादा से क्यूबिक इक्वेशन के कितने ही सॉल्यूशन आएंगे यार 3 और क्वाड्रेटिक के कितने ही आएंगे यार 2. ओवरऑल ये क्यूबिक इक्वेशन है. मोर सी ऑन द लेफ्ट हैंड साइड आई हैव एन x मल्टीप्लाइंग विद एन x स्क्वायर. दैट मींस आई एम गोइंग टू गेट x क्यूब समवेयर. I have an x and I have, if I multiply that with x square, somewhere I am going to get x cube. x cube क्यूबिक इक्वेशन के मैक्सिमम कितने सॉल्यूशंस होते हैं यार 3 और इधर कितने हैं 3. मतलब इवन इफ यू कंसीडर द मॉड केस 2 केस बनेंगे तो 3 plus 3 6 is the maximum number of solutions you can get for it. तो randomly कम से कम because it is theta no negative marking, at least 1 से लेके 5 तक कोई नंबर तो डाल के आ जाते हैं इसमें. But still this is a round 1 question to me directly because even if the question is asking me number of integral solutions, which I am generally very averse of solving, but the kind of equation that is there in front of me doesn't look very bad. It looks like 2 mod x है this is going to be always positive, this is going to be always positive. Zyada se zyada kya hi hoga? Let's open it up. This is where I tell you that if you take the decision of leaving a question without even taking down the given data, then you are doing injustice to yourself. At least step 1, take the given data. Chalo लिख के देखते हैं क्या ही हो जाएगा. If there is a mod involved, we know एक बार प्लस में खुलेगा और एक बार माइनस में खुलेगा. प्लस वाला केस, let us write it down. Let us consider x to be positive. If x is positive, then the left hand side is 2x into x square plus 1. So 2x cube plus 2x is equal to 5x square, or you have 2x cube minus 5x square plus 2x is equal to 0, or you have x into 2x square minus 5x plus 2 equal to 0. So x into, now this is a quadratic. This is a quadratic. I know how to factorize quadratic. So this becomes 2x square minus 4x minus x plus 2 equal to 0. So x square into 2x common, x minus 2 minus 1, x minus 2 equal to 0. So x square, x into 2x minus 1, x minus 2 equal to 0. So x is equal to 0, or x is equal to 1 by 2, and x is equal to 2 are the three possible solutions when x is positive. What happens when x is negative? X is negative. So इस side में negative भेज दो ना. What will you get? You will get 2x cube plus 5x square plus 2x equal to 0. That means you are going to get x common. You are going to get x common, 2x square plus 5x plus 2 equal to 0, which is x common again, 2x square plus 4x plus x plus 2 equal to 0. X common again, 2x, x plus 2 plus 1, x plus 2 equal to 0. So you are going to get x into 2x plus 1 into x plus 2 equal to 0. So this is x into, so you are going to get solutions as x is equal to 0, x is equal to minus 1 by 2, and x is equal to minus 2. How many integral solutions do you have? You have x is equal to 0, you have x is equal to minus 2, and x is equal to 2. 3 becomes the answer. That's it. Simply, even if you write down the given data, the path was visible in this question because x har jagah tha. X is equal to 0 is a definite solution. बाकी x is equal to 0 को बाजू में रखते तो this is a quadratic. If you leave the question by the looks of it and don't put down the given data, you would not realize it is not a cubic you are solving. You are actually solving a quadratic. This becomes a round 1 question to my mind. Now, so anyone who has done some classes of time, speed and distance, or clocks and would have covered clocks also in that. So this is a question again which says the minor angle between the hours hand and the minutes hand of the clock was observed at 8:48 p.m. So this is a round 1 question because this is formula based. No jugad in this, but it is a very much formula based question, round 1 question, right? So minor angle between the hours hand and minutes hand of a clock was observed at 8:48 a.m. What is the formula for this? Angle between hands of clock is mod of 30h minus 11 by 2 m. So if you know the formula, this is absolute round 1 kind of a question. And throughout your preparation, there is definitely a chance that you will come across knowing this formula. The problem with this is only 25% of people attempted this question, which is very bad because clocks के हर class में ये चीज पढ़ाया जाता है. This is a direct formula based question, right? So at 8:48, what is the angle you have to find? And the other thing is the minimum duration in minutes after 8:48 a.m. when the angle increases by 50% is how much is the question. So first of all, you have to find the present angle at 8:48. 8 minutes means 8 hours means 30h is 240. And 48 means 48 into 11 by 2, which is 24 into 11, which is 264, mod of which is 24 degree. The present angle, the current angle is 24 degree. You want to increase it by 50%. 50% increase over 24 degrees, 36 degree. That means you are looking at a change of 12 degree. 12 degree. And if you look at the options, 24 by 11, is 2 point something. 36 by 11 is 3 point something. This is 2 minutes. This is 4 minutes. Anyway, in any of the cases, 8 बज के 48 minutes के बाद, in any of the cases, the time is not going to change. I mean, the hour h is not going to change. So 30h has nothing to do with this. All the change that has happened, this 12 degree must have happened because of this 11 by 2 degree, 11 by 2 m. So 11 by 2 m must be equal to 12. That is the change that has happened. All I've done is I've taken down the given data, put the formula, and I think I have the answer with me. 24 by 11 becomes the answer. M must be equal to 24 by 11. This is pretty much a round one question. Within 2 minutes, you can get an answer to this question. Anyone who left this question in the paper either did not prepare well or did not, or got frightened by the fact that clocks was asked. Clocks is a part of time, speed, and distance. Look at this question. This is the easiest question in the paper. Still, there is only an 80% accuracy and 80% attempt rate. That means only 64% of people who have taken the paper got it right. The reason I am telling you why 80% people even did not attempt this question would be, to my mind, that you don't write the given data. Arey school mein bolte the na yaar, given data, step marking. Consider the same thing. You get step marking in CAT also. You write the given data. I'm telling you, the wonders you can see after writing the given data and to find are beyond your imagination. Just write down the given data and to find, and you will understand what has to be done. The salaries of three friends, Sita, Geeta, and Meeta, are initially in the ratio 5:6:7. Now, whenever they say ratios 5:6:7, and there are percentages involved, finally, the answer is also in percentages. No fixed value, no absolute value. Options, everything is in ratios and percentages. I will assume any value that satisfies that ratio and it should come out true. So I am going to assume what are good numbers, cute numbers. I will assume that these numbers are 500, 600 and 700. In that order, Sita, Geeta and Meeta have salaries 500, 600 and 700. In the first year, they get salary hikes of 20%, 25% and 20%. You increase this by 20%, 1/5 of 500. This becomes 600. You increase this by 25%, 1/4 is 150. Plus 150 becomes 750. And here, again 20%, 1/5 is 140. This becomes 840. Now this is where we are. Now this becomes the basis of our calculation going forward. In the second year, Sita and Meeta get salary hikes of 40% and 25%. Sita and Meeta get 40% and 25%. So this increases by 40%. 40% of 600 is 240. So this becomes 840. And this Meeta increases by 25%. That is again 1/4 of 840, which is 210. Add that, you become 1050. Now, salary of Geeta becomes an equal to the mean salary of the three friends. Mean salary of three friends. When A, B, C, may say if B becomes the mean of 3, that means A, B and C are in an arithmetic progression. A, B and C must be in an arithmetic progression. So 840, 1050 ke beech ka number 945 is what this number will become. Salary hike of Geeta in the second year is how much is the question. So 750 becomes 945. So there is a growth of 195 over 750. Find out what is 195 by 750 into 100. That is what your answer is. You just write down the given data. The answer was visible. This is the easiest question in the paper. This is 13 times 15. This is 50 times 15. This is 2 times 50. 13 2s are 26 is our answer. And this is a definite R1 question. No jugaad required. Write down the jugaad in this is write down the given data. Yeah. Now, this is another question that a lot of people missed out on. 33% attempt, because they thought it is a time, speed and distance question, but it has nothing to do with time, speed and distance. It had nothing to do with anything. This is a very common sense question. Look at the question. Brishti went on an 8-hour trip in a car. Before the trip, the car had traveled a total of X kilometers till then, where X is a whole number and is palindromic. What is a palindrome? Even if you don't know what is a palindrome, X remains unchanged even when its digits are reversed. So Nitin is a palindrome. आगे से पढ़ो या पीछे से पढ़ो सेम ही आता है. At the end of the tree, the car had traveled a total of, at the end of the trip, ending May, it was at 26862 kilometers, which is also a palindrome. आगे से पढ़ो, you read from the left or you read from the right, you get the same value is a palindrome. So 26862 is also a palindrome. Bristi never drove over 110 kilometers per hour. Then the greatest possible average speed at which she drove during the trip in the kilometers was. So, to make this a palindrome, right? Initially, she was at X, which was also a palindrome. She was at X, which is also a palindrome. She has driven for 8 hours. What is the maximum speed at which she could have driven is the question. 4 option है यार तुम्हारे पास. ठीक है. Option 1, if the speed was 110, if the speed was at 110, she would cover 880 kilometers. So 26862 minus 880, does it give a palindrome? No. If your speed is 102, so calculate kar lo, 26862 minus 880, does it give a palindrome? 6 minus 8 is 8. This is 7 minus 8 is 9, and 6 becomes 5, and you get 2 over here. It is not giving you a palindrome, so 110 is not the answer. Highest possible bola hai, isliye I am starting with the highest option. 100. If the speed was 100, in 8 hours, she would have traveled 800 kilometers. 26862, if you remove 800, are you still getting a palindrome? 26062, are you still getting a palindrome? Yes, then 100 is our answer. Game over. This is a very, very simple question. The jugaad in this is use options. Definitely R1 question, use options and substitute. Now, in an examination, the average marks of girls. Now, again, this is a question that is a little confusing to a lot of people, but I found it very simple to do. In an examination, the average marks of 4 girls and 6 boys is 24. Average marks of 4 girls and 6 boys is 24. So 4G plus 6B is equal to 240. Given data, write down given data. Each of the girls has the same marks while each of the boys has the same marks. ठीक है, सभी girls का marks same है, सभी boys का marks same. If the marks of any girl is at most double of the marks of any boy, but not less than the marks of any boy. So marks of girls are in the range of marks of boy and marks of twice of boys. And the number of possible distinct integer values of 2 girls and 6 boys. The question is asking you how many distinct values exist for 2 girls plus 6 boys. Now I know that ऐसा करके मतलब there are two extremes. Girl equal to boy will be one case and girl is equal to twice of a boy is one case. This is a round 2 question to me. I am able to crack the logic of it, but the problem is number of distinct integer values is what the question is asking. Exact answer नहीं आना है, distinct values counting का problem हो सकता है. So I will mark this as round 2 because this is a process oriented question, because I am able to understand logic तो है but process में कुछ गड़बड़ शायद हो, अगर हो गया तो मैं गया. Right? That brings us to the next question. Geeta sells 2 objects A and B at the same price such that she makes a profit of 20% on object A and a loss of 10% on object B. So object A, if the cost price was X, she sold it at 20% profit, 1.2X. And object B, if the cost price was Y, she sold it at 0.9Y because she is selling it at a 10% loss. If she increases the selling price such that objects A and B still hold an equal price and a profit of 10% is made on object B, profit on A will be how much? So the question is saying 2 objects are sold at the same price. That means selling price, these 2 selling prices are equal. So the question is not asking you about any absolute value over here. Everything is in percentages. As long as everything is in percentages, assume any value that satisfies these percentages. Now the question over here is, the selling price of both the objects should be same. If the selling price of both the objects should be same, I will take a common multiple of 12 and 9. Let us say 72 as the selling price. So if the cost price and selling price of object A and object B, I'll take it like this. Selling price must be 72 because it is a common multiple of 12 and 9. You could have taken 36 also, koi farak nahi padta, right? 1.2x, if that is 72, cost price must be 60. And here, if there is after a loss of 10%, you are coming to 72, the cost price must be 80. So here the cost price is 60 and here the cost price is 80. Now, A and B still hold an equal price. Now, in the second case, you are selling them still at an equal price such that 10% profit is made on object B. On object B, you are making a profit of on object B, you are making a profit of 10%. That means you are selling it at 88 rupees. You are selling it at 88 rupees. That means this 60 also has to increase to 88 because they are still at an equal price. What is the increase in price of A? The increase has been 28. The increase is 28 over 60, 40, which is equal to 14 by 30, which is equal to 14 by 3 is 4.66. I will go with 47% as the nearest option. This is definitely a round one question. The jugaad again is just write down the given data without thinking much about the question and you will be able to solve the question. Now, the amount of job that Amal, Sunil and Kamal can do individually in a day is in harmonic progression. Now, this is a very, normal kind of a question only. But the only problem here is harmonic progression. Now, the moment, see, time and work is something that is a favorite for a lot of students. But when you say something like a harmonic progression, you tend to, leave the ball. I would still suggest in a question like this, at least write down the given data before deciding whether it is round 1, round 2 or round 3. The amount of job that Amal, Sunil and Kamal can do in a day, so that means 1 by A, so if Amal takes X days, Amal takes A days, Kamal takes K days and Sunil takes S days to finish a job, let us say, then what is their efficiency? 1 by A, no? So the 1 by A, 1 by K and 1 by S are their efficiencies. That is the amount of work they do. That is the amount of work they do in a day. That is in harmonic progression. So if the reciprocals of A, K and S, 1 by A, 1 by K and 1 by S are in harmonic progression, then A, K and S must be in arithmetic progression. If these are in harmonic progression, then A, K and S must be in arithmetic progression. 6th class, 7th class school concept. Harmonic progression means reciprocals are in an arithmetic progression. If these are in a harmonic progression, the right hand side of the screen must be in an arithmetic progression. So number of days they are going to take are in an arithmetic progression. And then it is said that Kamal takes twice as much time as Amal to do the job. Kamal takes twice as much time as Amal to do the job. So Amal, Sunil and Kamal, let us write it in that form which is given in the question. Amal, Sunil and Kamal. Kamal takes twice as much time as Amal to do the job. So if Amal takes 2 days, Kamal takes 4 days. I'm just assuming a number over here, right? And if these three numbers and in an arithmetic progression, then Sunil must take 3 days to finish the job. 2, 3 and 4 days is what they take to finish the job. Now, if 2, 3 and 4 days is what they take to finish a job, let us see what the question has to say. Amal and Sunil work for 4 days and 9 days respectively. Kamal needs to work for 16 days to finish the remaining job. Then the number of days Sunil will take to finish the job working alone is. See, if they had so this is actually 2x days. Instead of 2, 3 and 4, this must be 2x days, this must be 4x days and this must be 3x days. For sake of simplicity, I am still going to consider it as 2 days, 3 days and 4 days that they require to finish the job. Why? I'll tell you. If 2, 3 and 4 are the numbers, the LCM is 12. The LCM is 12. So if the LCM is 12, then their efficiencies is 6 units per day. their efficiency is 6 units per day, 4 units per day, and 3 units per day respectively. 6 units per day, 4 units per day, and 3 units per day respectively. So the total job is 12 units, right? If Kamal needs 16 days after Amal has worked for 4 days. Now Amal has worked for 4 days is given. 6 into 4, 24 units of work is done over here. Sunil has worked for 9 days. 4 into 9, 36 units of work is done here. I'm just going to put this over here. Yeah, 36 units of work is done here. And then Kamal requires 16 days to finish the job. 16 into 3, 48 units of work is done here. So 48 plus 36 plus 24. Total work is actually 108. हमने क्या assume किया था? 12. We had assumed it to be 12. Total work is actually 108. Multiply everything by 9. That means the number of days also gets multiplied by 9. So Sunil will alone take how many days? 3 into 9. Sunil should take 27 days. So it is again a question in which if you put your mind to it and just take down the given data, I agree that it should be round 2, but because I have only 2 to 3 minutes left in the paper, I am saying, okay, round 2 hai to kya, round 1 hai to kya, turant hi kar dete hai. And that is why I have taken time and solved it. The jugaad in this is again the same. Now this is a question that the attempt rate of which hurts me deeply. The attempt rate of which hurts me very, very deeply. Because people say, okay, there is 4% interest per annum compounded half yearly for 6 years. देख के ही लोगों की फट जाती है. उतना फटने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है. Just look at the question, read it, take down the given data, think mindfully, काम तरीके से बस उसको देखना है और सोचना है क्या कर सकते हैं. Anil invest 22,000. Anil invest 22,000. 6 years, 4% interest per annum compounded half yearly. So 1 plus 2 compounded half yearly, so 2% interest, 12 terms is what his amount is going to be, correct? That is what Anil has invested. Sunil invest the same type of in the same scheme for 5 years. Sunil invested in the same scheme for 5 years. Let us say X rupees. He reinvests the same amount, entire amount received at the end of the 5 years for 1 year at 10% similar. So 5 years tak to Sunil has done the same. X into 1 plus 2 by 100 power 10 tak to Sunil has done the same. And after that for 1 year, the entire thing was increased by 10% simple interest. So 1 year ke liye 10% se grow ho gaya. The multiplication factor of which is 11 by 10. If the amounts received by both at the end of the 6 years are same, that is why an equal to over here, then the initial investment made by Sunil is how much? We have to find X. Now the problem is the moment the students look at it, they say, okay, power 12 है इसलिए छोड़ दिया. अबे power 12 है तो यहाँ पे भी power 10 है ना, cancel हो जाएगा. You are only left with square over here. Matter over. So you are left with 22,000 into 1 plus 2 by 100, which is 102 by 100, 1.02 whole square, is equal to 11 by 10 times of X. X cancels, 11 cancels this 2000 times, and then there is 10 over here, so 20,000 into X is equal to 20,000 into 1.02 whole square is 1.404. So your answer is 20808. That is your answer. Mind you, this exact same question that appeared in CAT 2023 slot 1 also, the same question, same value, same answer appeared in CAT 2024 slot 2. That was the first time I saw CAT repeating a question in verbatim 2 consecutive years, but that is what has happened. So far, with me explaining to you the process of the questions and to understand what to solve and what not to solve, we have been able to come to about 15 questions. Normally in a paper, when I am solving it for myself, I would be able to see all 22 questions within the first 20-25 odd minutes. I would identify those 3-4 questions. I would identify those 6-8 questions which are absolutely round 1, solve it, then go back to round 2 questions and solve them in the remaining time. But nevertheless, in the 40 minutes timer while explaining to you, 40 minutes timer while explaining to you is very important. What we have done is question 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 questions. While explaining to you, while taking you through the logic of the question, while telling you whether to solve it or not or leave it, I have been able to solve 9 questions in the 40 minutes timer, which translates to the 97th percentile. Which translates to the 97th percentile. If I were solving all to myself, then I would have easily been able to accommodate 3-4 more questions from it. Nevertheless, I'll take another 5 minutes to just take you through the questions, not the solutions of the remaining questions, but take you through the questions. Arvind travels from town A and B, Surbi from town B to A, and both starting at the same time along the same route. So Arvind and Surbi, again write down the given data here, right? So they are traveling from A to B and B to A respectively. After meeting each other, they meet somewhere. After meeting each other, Surbi, Arvind takes 6 hours to reach B, while Surbi takes 24 hours to reach B. If Arvind traveled at a speed of 54 kilometers per hour, then the distance between town A and B. Now, this is a typical round 1 question for me, for someone who has anyone who has attended the classes of time, speed, and distance, right? Anyone who has prepared for time, speed, and distance. This is a direct approach based question where the approach is under root of t1 by t2 after meeting is equal to speed 2 by speed 1. That means time taken by Arvind and Surbi after meeting, under root of that will be the ratio of speed of Surbi to that of speed of Arvind. Use that, you will be able to find what their exact speeds are. Already Arvind ka speed tumko pata hai. Then all you have to find is the distance. This is absolute sitter of a question, which was again only attempted by 77% of the people, and accuracy is only 58%. That means that only about 45-50 people out of 100 got this question right, which is very wrong. कर देना चाहिए था ये क्वेश्चन पेपर में लोगों ने. Right? Now look at this question. Let C be the circle with A and L be the locus. Locus, the last time I studied locus, I did not understand locus. That was in 2011. So this is a straight. If you understand the logic of, मतलब तुमको ज्योमेट्री बहुत अच्छे से आता है, कोऑर्डिनेट ज्योमेट्री वगैरह अच्छे से याद है, 12th क्लास ज्योमेट्री अगर अच्छे से याद है, then this is a question to be solved. Otherwise, this is a straight R3 question for someone like me with my acumen. And look at this, the quadrilateral ABCD. Now, this is a kind of question that iska solution I would want to take you through. The quadrilateral ABCD is inscribed inside a circle such that AB is to CD is 2:1 and BC is to AD is 5:4. So, pehle to, in a geometry question, a lot of people, 17% people, only 17% people attempted this. यार given data लिख लो, geometry में draw the figure, half the question is solved if you draw the figure correctly. Let me show you. AB is to CD is 2:1. So AB is to CD is 2:1. So we have AB. Because this is not a triangle, equilateral, because this is not a square, this is not a hexagon, लोग छोड़ देते हैं. अब क्या रीजन है छोड़ने का? फिगर बना के तो देखो और ऑप्शन तो देखो कम से कम. Okay, if AB is to CD is 2:1, so draw a figure in such a way that AB and CD थोड़ा वैसा लगे कि 1:2 ratio में है. Okay, AB is to CD is 2:1 and BC is to AD is 5:4. BC is to AD is 5:4. So BC is a little longer than AD. BC is a little longer than AD. So I will draw the figure something like this for CD. And I'll say BC is to AD is 5:4. अभी थोड़ा सा लग रहा है 1:2 is AB is to CD. 2:1 is AB is to CD and BC is to AD is 5:4. I have drawn the figure to the best of my capacity on screen. Now, if AC and BD, which are the diagonals, intersect at point E, AC and BD intersect at point E, then AE is to CE. That means this region, this is X. This region, this is Y. X is to Y is what is the question. Boss, it is a very jugaad round one question. Just look at this question. X is to Y. X bada ki Y bada? You have drawn the figure to the best of your knowledge. What is larger? X should be larger. Y should be smaller. AE is definitely larger than EC, according to the figure we have drawn. So if AE is larger than EC, then this option and this option are out of question. Let us look at the fourth option. If the answer was 2:1, boss, you already had a 2:1 in the question. If the final answer is also 2:1, then ये जो BC is to AD है ना, इसको भी 2:1 ही होना चाहिए था. When everything is 2:1, final output will also be 2:1. But if this is 5:4 and not 2:1, this answer cannot be 2:1. The answer must be 8:5. अब इसको सॉल्व कैसे करते हैं, इसके पीछे का थ्योरम क्या है मैं नहीं जानता, बट 8:5 इसका करेक्ट आंसर है, ये मैं जानता. That I can almost guarantee. AE must be greater than EC. It is a jugaad, simple jugaad of option elimination that you have to understand. And then look at the figure and you answer the question. This is a very simple jugaad question. Right? Now again, this is right out of geometry, right out of Pythagoras theorem jugaad question that you need to understand. In a triangle ABC, the altitude is 5 centimeter and the base is 12 centimeter. Altitude AB is 5 centimeter, base is 12 centimeter. That means this is 13 centimeter. 5, 12, 13, A, B, C. Right? P and Q are 2 points on BC such that the areas of ABP, ABQ and ABC are in arithmetic progression. Now, what is the area of a triangle? Area of a triangle is what? Area of triangle is half into base into height. Now, if P and Q are on the base, P and Q are somewhere on the base, P and Q are somewhere on the base such that triangle ABP, ABQ and ABC are in arithmetic progression, the height is not going to change. That means it is only the base that is going to change in the three cases. And if they are in arithmetic progression, then the bases are in arithmetic progression. That means BP, BQ and BC are in an AP. These three things must be in an AP. These three things must be in an AP. So if the area of triangle ABC is 1.5 times of ABP, 1.5 times of ABP. So ABC, so BC ka length to you already know, which is 12. If 12 is 1.5 times of BP, BP is 8, then BQ must be 10. What is the question asking? What is the length of PQ? If BP is 8 and BQ is 10, the difference between them two must be the answer. ये क्या है यार ये question? This is a definite round one question. Draw the figure is the jugaad. In geometry, most questions drawing the figure is what you have to do. And you apply basic theorems like Pythagoras theorem, area of triangle, half B into H, you know you are going to get the answer. Right? This again is a sitter of a question, round one kind of a question. The number of all natural numbers up to 1000 with non-repeating digits. See, if in this question because this has options, this becomes an easy question to me, to my mind. Now, if in this question, if I only consider even 3-digit numbers, I want non-repeating digits. Non-repeating digits यानी repeat नहीं होने चाहिए. I have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 10 digits at my disposal. Hundreds place, tens place, units place. Hundreds place में how many of the digits can take position, 9 of the digits can take position. Tens place mein all 10 of them can take a position, but because you have already placed something in the hundreds position, there are 9 more options you are left with, and in the units place you are only left with 8 more options. So you are going to get 9 into 9 into 8, 81 into 8, 648. There are 648 3-digit numbers itself. अभी तो मैंने 2 digit और 1 digit देखा ही नहीं है. That means my answer should be greater than 648. There is only one option greater than 648. That becomes our answer. No one is asking you even to calculate the 2-digit numbers or 1-digit number. 1-digit numbers are 9, 2-digit numbers are 81. That is what is going to give you that 738. But this is a very, very simple question. What hurts me is because just क्योंकि ये PNC है, लोगों ने said 63% people didn't even bat an eye at this absolute peach of a question. Right? This ये तो solve कर देना चाहिए था सबने. Now this, by the looks of it itself, it is difficult, and I am going to leave it because root x, root and root z arithmetic progression में है क्या नहीं, it looks a little difficult. And even if you look at this is a question based on, this is a functions ka question. This is a question again based on a pattern, right? This is something that I will qualify as R3, not because of the looks of it, but I have seen it and I have tried to find the pattern of it. This is a question that depends on the pattern. Any question that depends on the pattern, if you are able to find the pattern, the general term of it very quickly, then it is the question you should solve. Otherwise, after writing down the given data, if you are not able to find a very good fitting pattern in this, then it is a question that you should leave. And that is why this became an R3 for me. For example, it is saying that it started with 2 organisms on the first day. The number of organisms on any day is equal to 3 more than twice the number on the previous day. Next day it became 7. The next day it will become how much? 2, 7, 7 into 2 plus 3 is 17. Next day it will become 17 into 2 plus 3 37. The next day it will become 77. ऐसे ऐसे करके बढ़ते जा रहा है यार. So the increase is 5, 10, 20, 40 ऐसे ऐसे करके बढ़ते जा रहा है. I am not able to directly find a pattern in powers of 2 or anything. That is why this is a question. That is why this is a question that I would personally not choose to solve in the paper, and that is why I would mark it R3. So, having looked at all of these questions, let us go from the back. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, I completely missed this question. This is again an R1 question. 8, 9, 10. There are about 11 questions in the paper that I have marked R1 for myself, and another 5 questions that I have marked R2 as myself, for myself. So there are about 16 questions in this paper that were up for grabs that could have been solved, which would have taken students upwards of 99.5 percentile. But as I said, 11 questions of R1, if you are able to at least identify 8 easy questions out of them, and about the 5 questions of R2, if you are able to identify and solve 2 questions to 3 questions out of them, you are there at what is required for a 99 percentile. And that is what needs to be done strategy wise in the exam, right? अगर आपको क्वेश्चन करेक्टली सॉल्व करना नहीं भी आ रहा है, एटलीस्ट टेक डाउन द गिवन डेटा. अगर गिवन डेटा नहीं लिख रहे हो, देन यू आर डूइंग इनजस्टिस टू योरसेल्फ. टेक डाउन द गिवन डेटा, try take down what is to be found. You will automatically find a way. In most questions of arithmetic, that is exactly what has to be done. You take down the given data, you will find a way. All right, with that note, I am going to stop this session for quant. Thank you, and you have been a wonderful audience. Sazil, if you're there, over to you. Fazil?
Oh, hi.
Hi, sir.
That was so interesting. I'm so sorry. I was on a call. So,
Yeah.
thank you, Ravi. As usual, it was awesome listening to you. And now we are going to start with the DILR. So, thank you so much, Ravi. Thank you so much for being here again on
Thank you.
behalf of the
Thank
students.
Yeah.
All right. So, let's have the next speaker on the stage. And we have Mr. Nikunj. Hi, Nikunj. Good morning. And so now we are going to start with the DILR section with Nikunj. So without any waste of time, I will just pass it on to Nikunj.
Hi, thanks, Azil. Good morning to all of you, and let's get started right away. So I'll just share my screen. One moment, please. Okay, so is the screen clear? And am I audible? A couple of you can just confirm on the chat, then we could start. Are we good to go? I'm sorry, I can't see that chat window here, but students, if you could just, any one of you can just quickly. Okay, great, Rachit, thank you. So let's get started with LRDI. And as we all know, this section is one of the perhaps the most challenging sections in CAT. And if you look at the paper, 22 questions. So one section where there was a small change last year. So usually we had 20 questions spread across 4 sets. But last year there were 22 questions. So 2 extra questions got added and 1 extra set. So we had 5 sets last year, which meant there were 2 sets of 5 questions and there were 3 sets of 4 questions. So that was the trend last year. Difficult to say whether it will continue or not, but usually CAT doesn't change trends every year. So I'm presuming that this 22 question thing will remain. And if you look at the score versus percentile range, last year DILR was reasonably manageable because any year where there's a change introduced, that section generally is easier to manage. But CAT 25, if there is no change, brace for a reasonably challenging LRDI section. So a 80 percentile came at a score of 17, which meant you need to do roughly 1.5 cases. So where one case was usually good enough to get 80 percentile in LRDI traditionally, last year, because the section went a little easier, you needed to go beyond one set. So perhaps 2 sets were required to be able to get to that magic percentile number of 80. Because 80 percentile is what the cutoff is there for most of the IIMs, and except IIM Lucknow, which looks at 90. So even if you look at 90 percentile, a score of 23, 8 net questions. So 2 correct cases was the need of the hour as far as LRDI was concerned in the last year. So we will see but today we are trying to solve CAT 23, which was a reasonably difficult paper compared to CAT 24. So if I quickly look at the CAT 23 LRDI scores, so you can clearly see there's a marked downfall in the CAT 23 cutoffs. So it clearly indicates to us that CAT 23 was a reasonably difficult paper where 80 percentile came only at a score of 12, which means one correct case made it to an 80 percentile and you could easily achieve the desired sectional cutoffs. So guys, one thing is very clear, that whether it's a tough paper or it's an easy paper, it doesn't really matter. The cutoffs automatically adjust for themselves. So what you need to focus on in LRDI is take the paper on its merit, spend the first 5 minutes, 4 minutes browsing through all the cases, take a decision which ones I'm going to start with or which ones I'm not going to do at all. Okay, so out of 5 cases, okay, or rather 4 cases in CAT 23, even if one was completely correct, I had made the cutoff. But for people who are good in this section, strength lies in LRDI, you need to look at minimum two sets. So I will not spend a lot of time in these numbers and data, which I think most of you would already be having. So in terms of where I need to be, so as I said, 8 questions means a 90th percentile gave me 2 sets correct, but this is as per the CAT 24 format. Now I think we can assume the CAT 25 to be somewhere between 23 and 24. So might be 2 sets would be a good bargain to look at in any paper of LRDI. Okay, and if you look at the very high 99 percentile plus, we needed around 3+ sets. Okay, so when we talk of this section, I need to perhaps look at that 80 to 90 percentile is where I'm looking at in terms of sectional cutoffs. But for somebody whose strength is LRDI, move up 95 plus, which means then I need to look at 2.5+ sets. Now, this is one area where LRDI always poses challenge. Where to be strong at? Can I be good at reasoning? Can I be good at arrangements? Can I be good at Venn diagrams? So students, there has been no such fixed format that you have to get a Venn diagram. Arrangement is something which I think this and this, typically you would have got at least one of each in every year. But otherwise, it has varied. Okay, so last year in CAT 24, we got a Venn diagram, also a 3 set. But in CAT 23, there was no Venn diagram. So I cannot put my nail and say, okay, this is going to be always there. But yes, arrangement and reasoning is something which I think generally happen. So from the importance perspective, arrangement, reasoning, games and tournament is what I'll again put my money on. Okay, missing data, though it only shows 4, but a lot of reasoning based VI is bordering on missing data. Okay, so that is again one more area which I need to be considering. Venn diagrams is only when you're very good at. So if you're very good at Venn diagrams, then I think, yes, you need to go for it. Not a very easy nut to crack. So somebody who's not very confident in this chapter, I think it's better to be slightly, reserved in Venn diagrams and go for the others. But yes, when it comes to DI, so if you have arithmetic based DI based on statistics, one case typically you would find from DI. CAT 24 was easy because one case straight away came from graphs. And that was a giveaway, a lottery, a bonus, and everybody could crack it in 5 to 7 minutes. CAT 23, on the other hand, you did not get DI. So when you don't get those graph-based questions, those scoring options in this section, then there is always a pressure on scoring. And that is where even one case sometimes is good enough to crack the overall section. So the learning is the moment I see the paper, I see those 4 or 5 cases, and I spot a DI question, a graph-based question, my eyes should lit up. And I should then say, okay, then I need to do one graph plus one at least more of LR. But if I see no DI in the entire paper, I should take a deep breath and say, paper doesn't look that simple. So let me slightly go a little guarded. One complete case, even if it takes 15 minutes, 20 minutes, I would do it. Another case in 10 minutes, might be 2 more questions, the third, and that's it. So you need to be patient with this section. Here, you need to understand that there cannot be always cases which can be solved in 5 to 7 minutes. So in a 40-minute scenario, even if I assume my 5 minutes have gone for reading and I'm left with 35 minutes, even if I take away the last 5 minutes of that last moment panic, 30 minutes, and I am focused and I'm patient, 2 cases easily can be done. And I get 15 minutes for every case. The problem here is we tend to go a little too fast. We tend to understand that, every case can be done in 5 minutes. So 5, 7 minutes I spend, I don't get through, I go to the next one, I go to the next one, I go to the next one, 30 minutes gone, I'm there with 4 cases tried, but none of them successfully done. That is where most of us go wrong. One case you're doing, you're making inroads, even if that takes 15 minutes, complete it. If you started 3-4 minutes, I'm not getting any headway, move to the next one. But moving very frequently from one to the other will not help. Now, one interesting piece of data, if we see here, there has been hardly any easy LRDI cases in the previous year question papers. So the most of it hovers in that easy, moderate, difficult range. And this is where I need to out of 102 questions, if 54 questions lie in the easy, moderate zone, that is where my, I need to hit on. That is where my target zone is. So if 50% questions are in the easy, moderate zone, so I'm saying out of 4 cases, I'll have at least 2 cases which can be solved, provided I give that 12-15 minutes to that case. So how to choose the right cases is where most of us tend to struggle. So use the question paper option. Always try to use the question paper option. Don't start with the first case itself. You will have to spend 5 minutes browsing through the paper. I will always say DI is a safer bet. Might be my bias speaks here. For some of you whose numbers are not that great, you don't like ratio, you don't like percentage, you might bank on LR more, guys. But on my last 25 years of teaching CAT, I've experienced DI is always a safer bet. Might not be the most appealing bet though. Okay. So the look and feel of the question, that is very, very critical. Because see, first look, how do you feel like? But sometimes, remember, look and feel can be deceptive also. A lot of data given sometimes might, be a little deterrent. I shouldn't do this, too much of information. But I'm telling you, in any arrangement-based question, as much of information given, it's easier to solve. It might take a couple of extra minutes, but it will solve. Cases where there are hardly 1 para, 2 paras, everything left to open, every question left to assumption, those are the ones where most of us tend to get wrong. So don't always go only by the look and feel. Okay, unless it looks very complicated, extra data should not make you feel that it is tougher. Yes, if you can't comprehend the information, if the information looks very, very convoluted, very complicated, then avoid. But information is not complicated, simple to understand, but one after the other, there are 8 or 9 conditions given, too many of them to handle. I think those are the ones which generally turned out to be easier. Okay, so quantum of information, I would say more the quantum, it tends to be easier to solve. Generally. Okay. Student comfort when I'm saying, I'm talking of more in terms of Venn diagrams and games and tournaments here. Because these 2 areas, I feel it very much depends upon how much comfortable you are in that area. Okay. So I think you need to be very, very clear on that. If you're not comfortable, better to avoid starting with those cases. Okay. Most importantly, you should always go through the questions. Questions which involve can, maybe, might be, statement-based questions, not clear, are the ones which need to be perhaps looked at in the end. Similarly, questions based on individual questions. So every question has additional data, and on that basis, every question is independent of each other. They're not necessarily difficult, but they're not the ones to perhaps be started with. Okay, I would ideally start with questions which are table-based. I solve the table, I get all 4 or all 5 correct, and their questions are direct. They are single options. Even if they are non-MCQs, I don't mind. So sometimes we get this feeling that theta questions in LRDI are difficult. See, in DI, theta perhaps sometimes doesn't give us a lot of confidence because our options are easier for me to feel that my data, my calculations are easier. Okay. But in LR, I think theta doesn't make the question more difficult. Okay. Maximum minimum questions in theta become difficult. Maximum minimum is always easier with options. But otherwise, if I get direct questions, best part about theta is it cannot have multiple answers. Okay. So if theta is there, 90% of the chances that the table will be complete, the data given to is full. You don't have something to assume. You don't have multiple cases. So I would say that theta should not make you feel that this set is more difficult. Theta, on the contrary, I would say that I will go ahead and solve theta. Because in theta, I realized you generally get direct questions. Okay. So these are some of the parameters which we can use. So now let's get started with CAT 23 slot 1. Okay. First 5 minutes, I will make you go through all the cases. Let's first decide as a group, or if I would have taken this paper, then what would have been my reaction, in what order I would have attempted this particular section. So if you look at the first set here, this talks about 12 rectangular houses in a housing complex. Okay. There are 6 columns, 2 rows. The diagram shows you the way they have been distributed. And if you look at the conditions here, It talks about the road adjacency. So some roads here have, some houses, sorry, have one road. We have two roads. A house like this has only one road. A house like this has two roads. So the road adjacency will be 2, 1, or 0. This house will have 0. So column B, row 1 will have absolutely 0 roads. So one is the road adjacency factor. One is the neighbor count factor. Now, what is the neighbor count factor? It says number of sides of that house adjacent to occupied houses in the same block. Occupied, which means if they are vacant houses, they are not adding to the neighbor count. Okay. So, for example, it says E1. Now, E1 means this is E1. Okay. E1 and C1 can have the maximum neighbor count. So, E1 can have 3 neighbors. Of course, you can see D1, F1, and E2. So like that, some neighbor count factor is given. Then price is determined by the road adjacency, by the neighbor count. And also there's a fact of parking here. So a lot of information to be channeled and not much data is given here. So they talk about maximum price. They talk about the minimum price here. Not difficult though. I can look at it, but not something I will jump onto it. So we'll hold this on for the time being. We'll go to the question. Let's see how the questions feature here. First question, how many houses? Direct question. Which house is definitely occupied? Direct question. Best describes the number of vacant houses. There are multiple choices of 2 or 3, 3 or 4. So there could be some cases here. Okay. For maximum price. So of course, which means there is some maximum means it's not of one full case. There are some multiple possibilities. Which house has parking space? So if you look at these 5 questions, 2 of them give me multiple possibilities. Well, 3 are direct questions. So question wise appear pretty simple. Okay. And some theta also. So attracts me from the question perspective, but doesn't fully attract me from the data perspective. So I will hold it on. I will move to the set 2. The set 2 talks about faculty members can belong to one of 4 departments. And there are number of faculty members are given here for each of the 4 departments. 4 names are mentioned, P, Q, R, and S. Better to refer to them with initials. It makes life easier. Okay, they are candidates who are being election for the dean of the school. There is only one candidate from O and Q. Every faculty member, including the 4 candidates, voted for the post. In each department, very important point, all the faculty members who were not candidates voted for the same candidate. All the faculty members who were not candidates voted for the same candidate. That's easy. Okay. There cannot be more than 2 candidates from a single department. So there are 4 candidates, 4 departments. So there can be 2 also from one department, which means there can be 0 from some department also. A candidate cannot vote. That's a very obvious point. Faculty members cannot vote for a candidate from their own department. Very simple. And then they say how many votes each of them have received. And each of them personally voted from who. P voted for R, Q voted for S, R voted for Q, and S voted for P. So almost entire information is given here and not very difficult to process also. The only problem here, let me first see the questions. The question says, which 2 candidates can? So that's one can here. Second question also has a can. Third question, these are what are called statement-based questions. Definitely more time consuming than a direct question. There are basically 2 questions put in one. I need to solve both the statement, then only I can derive the answer. Fourth question again says, what best can be concluded? Here also too many either's are there. And again, 5th question is statement oriented. So though the set looks easy, but the questions are not very, very simple to look forward to. So in the order of priority, I would perhaps go with set 2 and then I will go with set 1. Both of them are manageable, but from a data perspective, I think 2 looks to be simpler to me. Let's go to the third one. I'm still in that browsing stage, guys. I have not yet started solving fully any set till now. A visa processing office accepts visa applications in 4 categories, US, UK, Shenzhen, and others. There are 20 15-minute slots from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. So 5 hours, 15-minute slot means 20 slots. That's very, very clear here, 20 slots. and 10 applicants are scheduled in each slot, which means there are 200 applications here in total. That's a very, very clear moment I read this. 10 counters, 4 to US, 2 for UK, and Schengen and others 2 each. That's 4, 2, 2. So there are 4 counters for US, 2 for UK, 2 for Schengen, and 2 for others. First come, first serve basis applicants are sequentially called. Processing time is same within each category. That is very important. But it may vary across. It's not same across countries rather. US and UK, they have given me the processing time of 10 minutes each, but they haven't given me Shenzhen and others ka timing. So US and UK both are 10 minutes each in terms of processing time. Shenzhen and others are unknown to me. Depending on the number of applicants, the time required to process an application for that category, it is possible that an applicant for a slot may be processed after his slot is over. Okay. On a particular day, it talks about 3 people, I, V, and N, are scheduled in that order. Means first is I, then is V, then it is N. 9:15 a.m. slot booking. They arrived late at 9:20. When they entered the office, exactly 6 out of 10 counters were either processing applications or had finished processing one and ready to begin the other. Mahira and Osman, MNO, scheduled at 9:30 in the others category. All slots were full. That means all 200 applications were done. Number of US applications was same in all the slots. The same was true for other 3 categories. So slot-wise, all applicants are same. 50% are US. So out of 200, that means 100 belong to US. All applicants except I, V, and N arrived on time. That makes your job simpler. And Vijay was called to the counter at 9:25. So again, here, not too much of information. The only problem here I can see that out of 200 applications, information is only given to me about 5 people coming to the counters. I, V, N, and MNO. So obviously, very partial information provided about candidates. Looking at questions here, how many UK applicants were scheduled on the direct question? Theta. Maximum possible value of the total time. Now, this is a slightly tricky one because maximum time when no options are given. Maximum minimum question generally with options become easier. Which is the file closest to the time when Nandini's process application got over? This is again direct question. Now, this is a difficult one because this again takes up a lot of time consuming because each statement has to be then analyzed. Depending on your luck, which statement becomes false. When did the application for US get this direct question? So question wise not bad, data wise also not bad. So I think I will place this somewhere between 2 and 1. So I think I will go with by my logic now, I'll go with 2, 3, then 1. This would be my order till now. 4th set, 5 restaurants R1 to R5 gave integer ratings to 5 gig workers U, V, W, X, and Y on a scale of 1 to 5. Mean ratings of the 5 restaurants are given to you, though in decimals, but they are 5, so the multiplier is 5. So obviously all of them will become integers then. That's easy. A 6 would be more difficult. A 4 restaurant would make it more difficult, but 5 always makes easier. 5, 10, because they will make integers. Okay. Then mean rating is given, median rating is given, mode rating is given, and range is given. Range is difference between the maximum and minimums. Most of us know that value, that meaning of range. And some more information is given that which restaurant got which rating, which gave which rating to which workers. So a lot of information. So here, the moment I see this, I think my eyes should lit up. Information within my range, mean, median, mode known to me, numbers, a lot of information provided. And the best part is if you look at questions, how many individual ratings cannot be determined without MCQ, which means direct answer. How many workers R2 gave a rating of 4, what rating R1 gave to Xavier, median of R3, which among the following restaurant gave its median rating to exactly once. All direct questions. This is an absolute no-brainer. I will definitely get hung on to this. So my now final order would become 4 se start karenge, 1, then 3, and then 2. Sorry, I got that wrong. 4, 2, 3, and 1. That's what we decided. I think we thought, yes, 2, 3, 1 tha apna. मैं 4 को पहले ले आऊंगा. So till here, guys, are you with me on this? I've been continuously talking. So I hope couple of in the chat, if people could just thumbs up, okay, not okay, some clarifications. I would love to hear from you before I begin. So Rachit says yes. Some more people coming in, please. Good to go. Some more observations. Are you okay with my selection, or you feel you would have a different selection here? We could also play that. Anybody else feels that this 4-2-3-1 doesn't work for you? You want to change it? We can even think about that and debate on that for a couple of minutes. So is 4-2-3-1 clear, guys? 4 first to एकदम clear है. उसमें तो I will not debate with anybody. My only contention is between say 2 and 3. Some of you might say 3 second कर लो, 2 third कर लो. उसमें थोड़ा confusion हो सकता है. 4 first और 1 end मेरा obvious था इसमें. ठीक है? So let's get started with 4. I think everybody unanimously agrees 4 is the first set to do. तो अभी हम लोग उसमें टेबल कैसे बनाएंगे? That is the most important one. Quickly let's make the table of set 4. So I have R1, R2, R3, R4, R5, and I have a U, I have a V, I have a W, I have an X, and I have a Y. R1's mean rating is 3.4, which means 3.4 into 5. R1 का total 17 है, 2.2 into 5 11 है, 3.8 into 5 19 है, 2.8 into 5 14 है, 3.4 into 5 17 है. So I got these numbers, and individually also mean ratings are provided, so I can just multiply by 5 and get their totals. Ullas 2.2 into 5, which makes it 11, 3.8 into 5, that makes it 19, 3.4 into 5 makes it 17. I'm looking at this row, guys, okay? 3.6 into 5 is 18, 2.6 into 5 is 13. So I've got the totals for each restaurant, I've got the totals for each worker. Now let's move further. R1 awarded a rating of 5 to Vaman. So let me just put this 5 here. As did R2 to Xavier. So R2 also put a 5 here. As did R3 to Vaman and Xavier. R3, Vaman and Xavier. R5 to Vasu. So these 5 ratings of 5 I'm aware, which I need to put in first. So point A is done. I look at point B now. R1 awarded a rating of 1 to Ullas. So 1 comes here. R2 to Vaman and Yusuf. Okay, so this is 1. R3 to Yusuf. So this is also 1. So these are the 4 ones. R1 का एक दिया हुआ है, R2 का 2 दिया है, R3 का 1. So 4 ones I have got, 5 5s I have got. These are given factors to me. Now let's look at the other information. अभी देखिए, if I look at Vaman first, तो Vaman का 3 already भर चुका है. Vaman का median is 4. Median is the 5 numbers arranged in ascending order middle value. तो मतलब R4 R5 में से एक 4 होगा, and 5 plus 1 plus 5 is 11. So Vaman का R4 plus R5 is 6. उसमें से एक 4 होगा, तो obviously एक 2 होगा. तो modal is 5, 2 बार 5 आया है, तो mode is which appears maximum number of times. Range is 4, 5 minus 1 4 correct है. तो R4 R5 में एक 2 होगा, एक 4 होगा. I am unable to fix that now. I will leave it at that point. Okay. Now let me move to let's look at let's say U को अगर देखते हैं, उल्लास को, तो उल्लास में there is 11 here, and उल्लास का median is 2, तो middle value is 2, और range दिया हुआ है 3, और mode भी 2 है, तो 2 will appear multiple number of times here, और range is 3, minimum अगर 1 है मतलब एक 4 भी आएगा. तो जो 11 का values है वो क्या क्या आएगा इसमें? So I will get 1 4 and 3 2s here, then only my 10 will come R2 to R5. Okay, तो ये clear हो गया. Value will fit in later. वासु का 19 total है, मतलब R1 to R4 will be 14. Range is 3, मतलब 2 से कम कुछ हो नहीं सकता है. Median is 4, mode is 4. और अगर मुझे R1 to R4 को 14 रखना है और मेरे को 4 ज्यादा रखना है और एक 2 भी रखना है, The only way it can happen is 1, 2, and 3 4s. That's the only way I can get a 19 here. All right. Vaman we have done. Xavier का अगर देखते हैं, total is 18. मतलब R1, R4, R5 मिला के 8 होगा. Mode 5 है. मतलब 5 दो बार आया और कोई 5. All the three will be different values. Range is 4. Median is 4. तो मतलब ये clear है कि उसका क्या values आएगा? 1, 3 and 4. I need a 1 because of range is 4. I need a median 4. So एक 4 middle value चाहिए. Total is 18. तो उसके हिसाब से एक 3 चाहिए. So I need a 1, 3 and 4. And if you look at Yusuf total is 13. 2 is given. 11 is left. High value 11. उसमें range 4 है. Mode 5 है. That's an important point. अगर mode 5 है, sorry Yusuf, I got it wrong. Sorry, Yusuf is mode 1 and 4. दो मोड है, मतलब 2 बार 1 आ रहा है और 2 बार 4 आ रहा है. That's a very important clincher. 2 1 आ चुका है मेरा, इसमें 2 बार 4 आएगा और 1 बार 3. तो मेरे को एक 3 चाहिए और 2 4 चाहिए. So I have got the values now in order to be the way we will try to fit. अब देखिए horizontal totals को देखिए. 19 is a very big number. R3 को 5, 5, 1, 11 जा चुका है. I need 8 more here. अभी इन U और V दोनों में 8 चाहिए. 8 आने का एक ही तरीका है, दोनों 4. So ये सबसे इजी है. These two will become 4. इसका 4 एक गया, इसका एक 4 गया. ये क्लियर हो गया. Now if I look at 17 here in R1, उसमें 1 and 5 जा चुका है. So 6 is gone. I need 11 more between V, X and Y. तो अभी 11 लाने का क्या तरीका हो सकता है? I have to get a 4 here. There is absolutely no issue about that. So I need a 7 here. Now it can be 3 4 or 4 3. ये दोनों हो सकता है, because दोनों में 3 भी है, दोनों में 4 भी है. तो यहां पे we are not sure. तो एक बार इसको 4 3 दोनों लिखते हैं. Now let's look at 11 in R2. तो अभी 5 plus 1 7 आ चुका है. 4 बचा है. 4 बचने का एक ही तरीका है. इसमें तो क्लियर हो गया दोनों का ही, बिकॉज यहां कोई ऑप्शन ही नहीं बचता. सो U इज इजी टू फिल. आई गॉट दैट. V में 4 2 4 5 आ चुका है, तो मतलब अभी ये 4 आएगा ही, तो इसका भी क्लियर हो गया. अभी नाउ इन टर्म्स ऑफ दिस इज 17, उसमें 2 and 5 आ गया 7, तो मुझे 10 लाना है W, X और Y मिला के, और इसमें अभी तक मेरा एक 3 और 4 गया है. मतलब 1 is left here. Now this 1 is very critical. अगर मैं इसको 4 भी लेता हूं यहां पे, तो ये 11 होता है. तो 1 लाने से यहां 5 चाहिए, which is not possible. तो ये क्लियर है कि 1 तो यहां ही आएगा. There is no other way 1 can come to R5. Okay? So if I put a 1 here, then this can be 4 or 3. अब इधर मुझे 14 चाहिए. 2 4 1 7 आ चुका है. फिक्स 7 और चाहिए. 7 के लिए मुझे 2 यहां पे मैं दे ही नहीं सकता हूं. ये 2 देने के लिए मुझे यहां 5 देना पड़े, which is not possible. तो ये क्लियर 4 है और ये क्लियर 3 है. अब अगर ये 3 हो गया तो ये 3 हो नहीं सकता है, which means this has to be 4, this has to be 3, and therefore this has to be 4, this also has to be 4. So the entire table now very easily gets fitted in. So did you follow this, guys? I hope you've been able to understand the link, but this is the way I would have done it in the exam. But let me hear from you. If there's some confusion, I can clear that. Sanat says, should we exclude questions that have maybe, could be? Sanat, definitely not the ones to begin with, but एक केस में अगर एक क्वेश्चन मे बी कुड बी का है भी, डजंट मैटर. जरूरी नहीं है that I solve all the questions of that case. Okay? Analyzing in 40 minutes, Sameer, I think minimum 5 minutes have to be given. Okay? So is this set clear? Everybody? And any questions on this? Any particular point which you thought you could not understand? I might have gone slightly faster, but I want to cover all the 4 cases. So any issues with this? If guys, you can just tell me, I'll quickly explain that. Some more people, please, coming in. More participation would be more, appreciated. So I'm not going to the questions. So we saw all the 5 questions were direct. So obviously all the 5 questions you'll be able to solve. मैं questions में भी नहीं जा रहा हूं. So can I move to the next set, guys? This is simple. Can we go to set 2 now? Could we move further now to set 2? Chaurasia, tough question. Chaurasia, आप tough किसके लिए बोल रहे हैं? Are you talking of set 4 as difficult और set 2 को आप tough बोल रहे हैं? See, अभी set 4 अगर मेरे पास एग्जाम में आता, इसमें अगर मैं आराम से इत्मीनान से करूंगा, there is no way I can't get this correct. Just that when I try to go too fast, sometimes I might go wrong. Okay, right. Now let's go to set 2. Okay, let's go to set 2. Now here they have given me which candidate voted for which candidate. How many votes does each candidate get here? That's also given to me. And what are the number of faculty members in each department? That is also given to me. सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है यहां पे कितने वोट मिले आपको. तो अगर आपको यहां सपोज P, let's start with P first. P got 3 votes in total. अभी P को किसका किसका वोट मिला है? एक वोट P को तो S का मिला है. S voted for P. अभी P को 2 वोट और मिला है. Each department, excluding the candidate, will all vote for the same candidate. This is the most important point. अभी आपको अगर 2 ही वोट मिला है, you would have to get vote from B and H. That means P has got vote from candidate S and the department B and H. B and H has 3 candidates or 3 faculty, sorry. उसपे 2 लोगों ने P के लिए वोट किया है. इसके मतलब B and H में एक कैंडिडेट खुद भी है. There is one candidate from B and H. There is one candidate from B and H for sure. और एक O and Q से आपको दे ही दिया है यहां पे that there was one candidate from O and Q. That's already given to you. पता नहीं कौन है लेकिन है. And P cannot belong to B and H. Because यहां लिख दिया है that faculty members cannot vote for their own department. So P doesn't belong to B and H. So till here is it okay? Right. Now Q, सबसे ज्यादा वोट इसको मिला है. सबसे ज्यादा वोट वाला और सबसे कम वोट वाला I think makes a job very simple. अभी S को एक ही वोट मिला है. S को किसका वोट मिला है? Q का. And he has got no vote from anybody else. मतलब Q S के लिए किसी डिपार्टमेंट ने वोट नहीं किया है. 4 डिपार्टमेंट हैं. तो इसका मतलब है 2 departments must have voted for the same candidate. Because there are 4 departments, 4 candidates. One candidate has not got vote from anybody. अभी Q is obviously that candidate who has received vote from 2 departments. 14 वोट तो एक डिपार्टमेंट से मिलेगा नहीं. Q has got vote from R plus 13 more votes. अभी वो 13 का यहाँ क्या कॉम्बिनेशन हो सकता है? 2 departments का which can add up to 13. Quickly guys, can you tell me? 13, which 2 departments would add up to 13 here? Who can vote for Q? थोड़ा सा let me hear from you to make me confident that you're following me. 13 वो क्या हो सकता है? 975 है, तो 13 तो कोई भी add up नहीं हो रहा. But remember, every department can have a faculty who will not vote also. So which numbers can add up to get 13 here? So I can do 8, 5 guys. Can I do 8, 5, 8 from FNA, 5 from ONQ? Is that possible? Not hearing from you. Is 8, 5 physically possible? 8 from FNA मतलब एक कैंडिडेट FNA को बिलोंग करता है. 5 ONQ से क्या मुझे मिल सकता है क्या? Can anybody get all 5 votes from ONQ? No. Why? I want to hear from you quickly. Why ONQ से 5 वोट आपको नहीं मिल सकता है? Because one candidate is there in ONQ, so which is not possible. Which means ONQ से मैक्सिमम किसी भी कैंडिडेट को 4 ही वोट मिल सकता है. तो अगर 4 वोट मुझे ONQ से मिलता है, मुझे 13 चाहिए, तो एक ही तरीका है, आई गेट ऑल 9 फ्रॉम FNA, which means Q must have received 9 votes from FNA and 4 votes from ONQ. और कोई तरीका नहीं है 13। MNS के आप 6 भी लेंगे तो भी नहीं होगा, 7 भी लेंगे तो भी 13 नहीं होगा। There is no way you are getting that. Because ये क्लियर है कि ONQ BNH से एक एक कैंडिडेट आ चुके हैं, अब 2 ही कैंडिडेट और बचा है। So the only way it is possible is that FNA gets all 9 votes to Q, which means FNA has no candidate. FNA has no candidate, 0 candidate. तो अगर 9 के 9 लोग वोट कर रहे हैं, इसके मतलब वहां कोई कैंडिडेट खड़ा ही नहीं हुआ है. That means MNS must have 2 candidates. Is this clear to everybody? 4 कैंडिडेट अब डिफाइंड हो गए, कितने कहां से आ रहे हैं, कौन कहां से आ रहा है, we'll see that later. R को 6 वोट मिला है, तो ऑब्वियसली R को 6 वोट कहां से मिलेगा? R को 6 वोट MNS से मिलेगा, बिकॉज 6 में 1 वोट तो R को P से मिला है, तो 5 ही वोट मिले हैं ना. सो MNS में 2 कैंडिडेट हैं, तो इसके मतलब 2 तो वो वोट करेंगे नहीं आपके लिए, तो इसके मतलब 5 वोट जो है वो आपको यहां से मिला है MNS से. Is that clear? So now I know that किस कैंडिडेट को किस डिपार्टमेंट का वोट मिला है. Is that clear? Now let's now move to the question. So ये clear हो गया. The only thing now we have to find is which candidate belongs to which department. वो भी हम निकाल सकते हैं easily. So let's see. अभी Q cannot belong to FNA. Q cannot belong to ONQ. So Q will either belong to BNH or MNS. Similarly, let's move on to the question. That will make it more easier for us. Question पढ़ते हैं. Which 2 candidates can belong to the same department? Let's look at the options. P and S. Now, S voted for P. So P and S can never belong to the same department. P and Q. Neither has P voted for Q, nor has Q voted for P. So P and Q can belong to the same department. Okay, that is possible. Q and R. R voted for Q, नहीं हो सकता है. R and S. Now, can R and S belong to the same department? Is that possible? सेम डिपार्टमेंट का मतलब MNS ही होगा, और R को MNS से वोट मिला है, तो R cannot belong to MNS. तो R को कहां जाना पड़ेगा? ये तो BNS में जाएगा या ONQ में जाएगा. R cannot go to MNS. Therefore, the only possibility here is P and Q can belong to the same department, that is M and S. Which candidate votes for which? Okay, I'll do that. Repeat. See, it says which 2 candidates can belong to the same department. When they are saying same department, it means it has to be MNS only, because MNS has candidate from 2 candidates. बाकी सब तो 1 candidate है, तो वो 2 है. R gets vote from MNS, तो R definitely doesn't belong to MNS. तो R जहां जहां है वो तो ऑप्शन आपको स्ट्रेट अवे काट देना चाहिए. That will never be the answer. P and S का ऑप्शन है. P and S can also not belong. Why? Because S has voted for P. Nobody will vote for a candidate from the same department. So even that is getting ruled out. So therefore, only possibility here is P and Q. Is that clear now? Whoever had said repeated. Is that clear, everybody? Can I move further? So question 2. Which of the following can be the number of votes that Professor Qureshi received from a single department? Qureshi, we have seen 9 and 4. So 9 is the correct answer here. Question 3. If Professor Samuel belongs to BNH. Now, वी वर कॉन्टेम्पलेटिंग हियर कौन सा आदमी किस डिपार्टमेंट में बिलोंग कर रहा है. द मोमेंट आई वुड हैव सीन क्वेश्चन 3, आई नो दैट दिस डेटा विल नॉट बी फिक्स्ड. If Professor Samuel belongs to B&H, which is very clearly indicating to me that ये fixation पहले नहीं हो रहा है, तभी एक्स्ट्रा डेटा मुझे दिया है. S belongs to B and H. तो अब अगर B and H में S चला गया, O and Q में एक और आदमी जाएगा और M and S में दो आदमी जाएगा. So who will go be? अभी मैंने आपको क्लियर बोल दिया था कि R will never go to MNS. तो अगर S यहां जाता है तो R को यहां जाना पड़ेगा और PQ को यहां जाना पड़ेगा. फर्स्ट स्टेटमेंट, Pakrashi belongs to MNS is correct. Ramaswamy belongs to ONQ is also correct. So here both the statements are correct. The correct answer will be the second choice. I hope that is clear. Question 4. What best can be concluded about the candidate from O and Q? अभी O and Q के बारे में क्या पूछ रहा है इसमें? Either P और Q. O and Q ऑलरेडी हम लोग R देख चुके हैं, तो P और Q इधर तो I cannot say. It was either R और S. R और S जा सकता है. R and S can go to O and Q. You cannot fix it. So single option तो anyways ruled out है. Double option ही correct होगा यहाँ पे. O and Q, see it's very clear. O and Q किसके लिए वोट किया है? Q के लिए. तो Q तो जाएगा ही नहीं. Q is not belonging to O and Q. That's clear. तो Q का option straight away कट गया. And R and S fix आप नहीं कर सकते यहाँ पे. R and S both have not got votes from O and Q. So R and S में से we can send anybody to O and Q. That's not fixed. Sorry. Question 5. Which statements are true? Non-candidates from MNS voted for Professor Qureshi. Already I have seen that is wrong. Qureshi doesn't get votes from MNS. That is false. Statement B. Non-candidates from FNA voted for Q. FNA has voted for Q. Yes. So therefore, statement B is correct. Only statement B. Is that clear, guys? Are we good to go to the next set? So now let's go to set 3. But this is slightly, as I said, there were 200 applications and too much of less data. So now let us understand here. In set 3, we saw 50% applicants were from US. तो जो 200 एप्लीकेशंस थे उसमें से इट इज क्लियर दैट यूएस के पास 100 है. अभी ईरा विजय नंदिनी शेंजन वीजा को बिलोंग करते हैं. हर स्लॉट में अगर 3 आदमी है, 20 स्लॉट है, तो शेंजन के पास 60 स्लॉट हो गए. माहिरा ओस्मान फ्रॉम अदर्स कैटेगरी, हर स्लॉट में अगर 2 लोग हैं तो 40 हो गए, which already adds up to 200, which means UK there are 0 applications on that day. Sanat, is there any set technique that we should keep in mind while designing structure of tables? ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. Depending on the kind of data given, we need to draw that. There cannot be any technique per se. Yes, one thing I will definitely say that if you feel data is bigger, you should draw the table in the landscape format and not the portrait format. And always keep some rough space on the right of the table and below the table for totals or for extra information to be put there. So this is clear. तो अगर आप पहला क्वेश्चन यहां देखते हैं, how many UK applicants scheduled for that day, it's simple is 0. अभी ये आंसर मैं 1 मिनट में कर सकता हूं. मुझे कोई जरूरत नहीं है इस आंसर के लिए पूरे चीज को सॉल्व करने का. तो कई बार ऐसा होगा 2-3 मिनट बचा हुआ है, can't solve the whole case. One case like this, one question, I got 3 extra marks, a bonus for me. Okay, let's come to question 2. What is the maximum possible time, the total time required to process all applications in the others category on that day? Okay, others category. Now, इसमें अगर अपने देखते हैं others category में, so others में if you see there are 2 candidates and all of them have come on time. But the important thing is 6 लोग out of 10 counters, 6 of them had finished applications or had done one application. मुझे पता है यूके का 2 काउंटर बेकार है, उसमें एक भी आदमी नहीं आया है, तो वो 10 काउंटर में 2 काउंटर तो वो कुछ नहीं कर रहा है. But there are 2 more counters who will either have nothing to do, but ऐसा हो नहीं सकता because all other counters are full, which means that those 2 counters have completed already 2 applications till now. Are you getting my point? देखिए 6 is either processing or have completed 1. So हमको वो बाकी जो 4 काउंटर हैं वो ये तो अभी तक स्टार्ट ही नहीं किए हैं और या फिर अभी तक 2 कंप्लीट कर चुके हैं. इज दिस क्लियर टू यू? दैट इज द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग. और अगर 2 क्लियर कर चुके हैं तो वो 2 वाला कौन होगा? वो अदर्स एप्लीकेंट्स ही हो सकते हैं, बिकॉज यूएस में 10 मिनट लगता है, आई नो. शेंगेन में 9:20 पे आके भी विजय को 9:25 पे बुलाया गया, which means it is taking time, it is not being done quickly. तो which means ये जो 6 काउंटर हैं इसमें 4 काउंटर वो यूएस वाले हैं जो प्रोसेसिंग चल रहा है और 2 काउंटर वो शेंगेन वाले हैं जहां प्रोसेसिंग चल रहा है या एक परहैप्स कर चुके हैं. तो इसका ये मतलब आ रहा है that in others category the applications are completed 9:20 के पहले, 9:20 के पहले ये 9:20 पे 9:15 वाला एप्लीकेशन भी खत्म हो चुका था. इसके मतलब ये क्लियर है कि 5-5 मिनट में यहां पे एक एक एप्लीकेशन मेरा अदर्स का खत्म हो रहा है. Now does this make sense to you? This is where the difficult part lies. Is this 5 minutes clear? तो अगर मेरे पास 60 एप्लीकेशंस हैं, नहीं अदर्स में तो बस 40 है ना, एंड हर में 5 मिनट लग रहा है, तो 40 into 5, the total time here will be 200 minutes. So the main point to be understood here is that out of 10, if there are only 6 counters busy with processing or 1 application completed, 4 counters में से 2 तो easy है, यूके वाला जो कुछ नहीं कर रहा है खाली बैठा हुआ है, बिकॉज कोई एप्लीकेशन नहीं है यूके का. 2 और काउंटर वो कौन है जो ऑलरेडी 2 कैंडिडेट को खत्म कर चुके हैं? वो वही होगा अदर्स वाला. इसके मतलब 9:20 में 9:15 वाला भी खत्म हो चुका है, तो उसको 5-5 मिनट ही लगेगा. दैट्स द क्रक्स. थर्ड क्वेश्चन, which of the following is closest to the time when Nandini's application process got over? अभी नंदिनी is belonging to the Schengen visa category. नंदिनी थर्ड है, ईरा देन विजय देन नंदिनी. अब 9:25 में अगर विजय को बुलाया गया है, उसका 9:15 का स्लॉट था, बट उसको 9:25 में बुलाया गया है. रिमेंबर शेंगन हैज 2 काउंटर्स, काउंटर 1, काउंटर 2. तो इसके मतलब एक काउंटर जो है वो 9 से 9:25 तक 2 वीजा एप्लीकेशंस किया है. मतलब 9 से लेके 9:12.5 एंड 9:12.5 से 9:25. Then he calls in Vijay. थर्ड काउंटर 9 से लेके 9:12:30 तक वो अपना काउंटर किया. 9:20 पे वो खाली था when these people entered. 9:20 से he called in Ira and she did her work at 9:32.5. तो Vijay, so this is Ira. Vijay was called at 9:25, so his applications will go on till 9:37.5. 12.5 मिनट उसको लगेगा. And Nandini, so this is Vijay. Nandini will be called at 9:32.5. 12.5 minutes will go. So 9:45 minutes तक Nandini will follow. So this is there which you have to follow. So Nandini का आंसर यहाँ 9:45. So this 12.5 मिनट कहां से आया? Because Vijay was called at 9:25. तो 25 मिनट में 2 एप्लीकेशन उसने खत्म कर चुका है. 9:20 तक एक ही किया था, 9:25 तक 2 कर लिया, 9 बजे स्टार्ट हुआ है. इसके मतलब इट हैज टू बी 12.5 and 12.5. That's the only way 9:25 will be arrived. And remember, Ira, Vijay, Nandini, first Ira will be called, then Vijay, then Nandini. And that's the way the order has gone in. So I will not go further for this set because I will not have time then to solve the first one. With this backdrop, you can solve the others also. But I hope you have been able to get this 12.5 minutes point and 5 minute processing time in the others category. I think that is where दिस इज वेरी वेरी क्रिटिकल टू अंडरस्टैंड. इज दिस क्लियर टू गाइस? समझ में आया क्या इसमें क्या था इशू? That 5-minute funda for others and 12.5 minutes funda for Shenzhen. These are the two critical points to be understood here. Guys, can I move to the first set quickly? Are you okay with this? Set 1 में चलते हैं. Any questions? So let's just quickly try to look at the first set. The first set में they have given me 12 houses, 2 rows, 6 blocks, and adjacency funda, road and the neighboring funda. Neighbors तभी होंगे जब वो occupied house होगा. Base price is 10 lakhs plus 2 lakh for parking if any, plus 5 into road adjacency value, 3 into neighbor count. So that's the way up. So it's 10 plus 2 plus 5 into road value, adjacency value, plus 3 into neighbor count. और ये 2 0 भी हो सकता है, 2 भी हो सकता है. This is optional. This is parking. The maximum quoted price for a house in block XX, मतलब ये blocks की बात कर रहे हैं हम लोग, is 24 lakhs. अभी 24 lakhs का combination कैसे आ सकता है? That is what we have to see here. और वो कौन सा वो घर होगा जहां पे 24 लाख आएगा? इफ यू कैन क्रैक दैट पार्ट देन यू वुड हैव गॉट द आंसर. सो एनीबॉडी एनी थॉट ऑन दिस? 24 लाख कैसे आ सकता है इसमें? 10 तो आएगा ही. ओके, वी विल कम टू दैट. मिनिमम प्राइस फॉर YY इज 15 lakhs एंड वन सच हाउस इज इन कॉलम E. मतलब E1 या E2 में एक का वैल्यू डेफिनेटली 15 लाख. Row 1 has 2 occupied houses, 1 in each block. तो row 1 में 2 occupied houses है, एक, तो इन तीनों में एक occupied है, इन तीनों में एक occupied है. Both houses in column E are vacant. So this is a vacant house, this is a vacant house. Each of column D and F has at least one occupied house. तो D और F में एक occupied house है, at least, more than one भी हो सकता है. Only one house with parking space in block YY. तो एक घर में सिर्फ यहां पार्किंग है, only one house. So now anybody, 24 कैसे आएगा? देखिए 10 plus 2 अगर हम 12 करते हैं तो 24 आ ही नहीं सकता है, because neighboring count maximum can be is given to me. Neighboring count maximum can be 3. तो 3 से अगर 3 को मल्टीप्लाई भी करेंगे 9, तो 24 का भी नहीं आएगा. AV, what can be the maximum value of AV? That's also given to me. 2, 1 और 0. But the possible value of AV will be, मैं लिख देता हूं, 2, 1 और 0, और maximum value of NC will be 3 और 2, और 1, 0 भी हो सकता है. तो maximum है, can be 1 also, it can be 0 also. तभी 24 guys, the only way I can get is 24 लाने का एक ही तरीका है, 10 plus 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. 3 neighboring count. There is no other way I can get a 24. Are you agreeing with me on that or not? Till we agree on that, there's no point going further. Yes guys, are you with me on that? 24 funda. No, the 24th thing, is that clear? और अभी नेबरिंग काउंट 3 कॉलम बी का ही हो सकता है, और एक रोड भी चाहिए, तो B1 कभी नहीं होगा, वो it has to be B2, और E2 तो हो गया नहीं, ब्लॉक XX की बात कर रहे हैं ना. दैट मीन दिस इज 24 lakhs. It has 3 neighbor count, which means this is also occupied, this is also occupied, and this is also occupied. That's the only way we can get a 24. Till here clear? मतलब ये वेकेंट है और ये वेकेंट है, बिकॉज एक ही हाउस ऑक्यूपाइड है रो 1 में इन ब्लॉक XX. तो ये क्लियर हो गया. अभी it says minimum value for YY block is 15 lakhs. और वो 15 लाख या तो E1 है या फिर E2 है. 15 लाख लाने का क्या तरीका है? It can be 10 plus 5 with no neighboring count. It can be 10 plus 2 plus 3 with one neighboring count. अगर हम 10 plus 5 लेते हैं तो हमको E2 में 10 plus 5 मिल सकता है. Which means अगर मैं E2 को 15 लेता हूं, if I take E2 to be 15, then or neighboring count is 0. 10 plus 5. Neighboring count is 0. अब neighboring count अगर 0 होगा तो D2 is 0. D2 is not occupied. F2 is also not occupied. अगर D2 F2 दोनों नॉन ऑक्यूपाइड होंगे तो एज पर कंडीशन की D और F में एटलीस्ट वन हाउस इज ऑक्यूपाइड. D1 F1 दोनों को ऑक्यूपाई करना पड़ेगा. D1 F1 दोनों ऑक्यूपाई होने से this condition of one house being occupied in row 1 it will be violated. Therefore E2 cannot be 15. So therefore E1 will have to be 15. Now 15 E1 तभी हो सकता है E1 का adjacency value 0 है, which means एक नेबर आएगा और पार्किंग होगा, which means E1 has parking and neighboring count is 0, which means this is also vacant, this is also, hold on, एक neighboring count, sorry, 15, so I got 15, sorry, 15 I got is 10 plus 2 plus 3, एक neighboring count है, E2 is vacant I know, which means D1 और F1 में से एक occupied होगा, sorry, D1 F1 में से एक occupied होगा, we will see which one. अगर D1 ऑक्यूपाई होता है तो D1 का क्या वैल्यू होगा? अगर D1 ऑक्यूपाइड होता है तो D1 का क्या वैल्यू होगा? 10, एक रोड है, 10 plus 5 15, ओके, 15 हो सकता है. नेबरिंग काउंट कैन बी 0 फॉर D1. अगर F1 ऑक्यूपाइड होगा तो F1 का वैल्यू क्या होगा? नो रोड फेसिंग, तो एडजेसेंसी वैल्यू 0 है. मैक्सिमम नेबर एक हो सकता है, F2, पार्किंग नहीं है, तो F का वैल्यू फिर 13 हो जाएगा, 10 plus 3. मिनिमम वैल्यू इन ब्लॉक YY is 15 lakhs. So F1 will then value at 13 lakhs because एक नेबर काउंट 10 लाख, नो पार्किंग, नो रोड. Now F1 cannot be below than 15 lakhs. So 15 lakhs is the minimum quoted price. इसका मतलब ही क्या है? That D1 has to be occupied and F1 has to be vacant. D1 has to be occupied. ये आपको करना ही पड़ेगा. अगर D1 occupied है तो D2 के बारे में हमको पता नहीं. D2 occupied हो भी सकता है, नहीं भी हो सकता है. But अगर F1 vacant है तो F2 definitely will be occupied. इसका पता नहीं, ये ऑक्यूपाइड भी हो सकता है, ये वेकेंट भी हो सकता है. इज दिस क्लियर टू एवरीबॉडी? दिस इज अ वेरी क्लियर फंडा दैट D1 को ऑक्यूपाई कराना पड़ेगा. अगर आप D1 को ऑक्यूपाई नहीं कराएंगे, F1 को ऑक्यूपाई कराएंगे तो F1 का वैल्यू 13 लाख हो जाएगा, विच इज एब्सोल्युटली नॉट पॉसिबल. सो नाउ इफ आई गो टू द क्वेश्चंस क्विकली, how many houses are vacant in X? तो X में क्लियरली मुझे ये तो 24 लाख है तो वेकेंट है ही, वैल्यू है मतलब ही वो वेकेंट है, तो 3 हाउस इसमें वेकेंट है. There are 3 houses which are vacant in block X. Which house is definitely occupied? Now here there is a problem. Which house is definitely occupied? अब block X में B1, A2, C2. B1, A2, C2 occupied है तो B1 करेक्ट है. प्रॉब्लम क्या है? D1 and F2 are also occupied. तो F2 यहां जो है ना, दिस इज अ प्रॉब्लम. ये कैट में भी इशू आया था इसका, that there were 2 correct answers in this one of the questions. B1 भी इस पे करेक्ट है, which is the given answer by most of the places, but F2 also will definitely be occupied here. But if I don't occupy F2, I will have to occupy F1, and in that case F1 का देन वो फिर I think sorry, I think no, I think I made a small mistake. F is, I say, oh no, F cannot be, F1 cannot be vacant. With F1, if it is vacant, then it has a 13 lakh value. Oh, sorry. So I other way around. Sorry, you didn't check me on that. This has to be occupied, and this has to be vacant. Sorry, which means this will be occupied, and this is not sure. It can be vacant. Oh, sorry, guys, I made a small error here. Because D has to be vacant here. F को अगर आप vacant छोड़ेंगे F1 को, तो वो 13 लाख हो जाएगा. वो possible नहीं. तो D1 को vacant छोड़ना पड़ेगा, पर D1 डेफिनेटली 15 लाख तो हो गई, ज्यादा भी हो सकता है, बिकॉज पे रोड है. F में कोई रोड नहीं है, इसलिए F1 will be occupied. तो यहां पे F2, ऑफ कोर्स ये मैंने गलत बताया आपको. D2 will definitely be occupied. Yeah, so D2 यहाँ पे आंसर हो सकता है. I remember one answer here you are getting possible. So guys, did you understand this 13 lakh funda? Is that clear to everybody? This 13 lakh stuff. So F को अगर हम F1 को अगर हम ऑक्यूपाई नहीं करेंगे, वेकेंट छोड़ देंगे, उसका दाम 13 लाख हो जा रहा है, which is lesser than 50. So therefore मुझे D1 को खाली छोड़ना पड़ेगा. Hence, if D1 is खाली, T1 is खाली, F1 has to be occupied. And if D1 is vacant, then D2 has to be occupied because D में आपका एक भर्ती रहेगा ही रहेगा. So what is the right answer, Achit? There are two right answers here, B1 and D2. Now there was this issue in CAT also. So in such cases, generally the question gets cancelled. Okay. Question 3. Which option best describes the number of vacant houses in row 2? तो रो 2 में वेकेंट हाउसेस ब्लॉक एक्स में एक वेकेंट है, ब्लॉक 2 में ई वेकेंट है, एफ वेकेंट हो भी सकता है, नहीं भी हो सकता है. तो 2 और 3 विल बी द राइट आंसर. क्वेश्चन 4. मैक्सिमम कोटेड प्राइस फॉर अ वेकेंट हाउस इन कॉलम ई. कॉलम ई में मैक्सिमम कोटेड प्राइस क्या होगा? मैक्सिमम कोटेड प्राइस ऑब्वियसली E2 का होगा, बिकॉज E2 में आपको वैल्यू मिल रहा है, रोड मिल रहा है. तो 10 लाख पार्किंग उसमें है नहीं, 10 + 5 15, और नेबर काउंट उसका 2 है. 3 F2 भी नेबर हो सकता है, बिकॉज ऑक्यूपाइड हो सकता है. तो 15 + 3 + 3, सो इट विल बी 21 lakhs. 10 + 5 + 2 neighbors of 3 each. Yeah, B1 dimple is the right answer, which is a given right answer everywhere. But D2 can also be the right answer here. That is what I was trying to insist. And most of the people have ignored this. But if you look at the calculation, D2 here can also be the right answer. So D2 को आपको occupy कराना ही पड़ेगा. Question 5. Which house in block Y has the parking space? Already we have seen E1. It's a very straightforward answer. So बहुत rare होता है ऐसा that one error has come in the CAT paper, 2 multiple answers getting correct. But अगर ऐसा होगा, don't worry, their guys are very smart enough, they will manage that. But very rare such occurrence. But I hope you've understood the funda. And now let's quickly go on to what was the actual situation in the CAT 23 slot 1. Which paper was the maximum attempted with set and how many people got it correct? So आप देखिए set 4, the longest green bars you can see here. So therefore set 4 definitely, अगर आप ये number of people attempting भी देखें, सबसे बड़ा बार है. What is slightly surprising here is that set 1 is the second highest attempted and set 3 is the lowest attempted. I'm slightly surprised here. I would have thought that set 2 would be slightly higher than set 3 would be higher. Set 3, I'm surprised that very low accuracy rates and very fewer attempts. So set 4 was the clear winner here. In terms of the actual people applying, if you see here, set 1 comes, so set 4, 1, 2, 3. That is the order these people have taken. I would have still, we took it 4, 2, 3, 1. This is what we took it. But यहाँ पे अगर मैं देखूं तो 4, 1, 2, 3 is what has been taken. The set 1 is where perhaps we thought last में आना, but the actual data says that people, because, and ये obvious इसलिए भी होता है कि set 1 पहला set था, तो maximum people पहला set हमेशा try करते हैं करने का, and that is where अगर आप देखें यहाँ पे the accuracy levels, though they have attempted set 1, lot of people, because it is the first set, but the accuracy levels are not very great. Okay, and second 2, set 2, that was much simpler it appeared than set 1, because वहां ज्यादा लोग करके भी आप देखिए green and yellow bars, no red bars there. Okay, so accuracy levels are above 40%, 60% in set 2. So guys, I think I'll stop there and I'll come to an end to my session. But any questions, any respect with respect to the prep, with respect to quickly last 1 or 2 questions we can take before I stop. With respect to any set you have, we can talk on that, or any other point if you want to speak on, I can quickly. One last question. I've already, I think, exceeded 5 minutes of my time. So, yeah. Any questions, guys? Quickly, we can just spare a minute or 2. So I hope you've been able to understand how generally we should approach the sets. Don't get overawed by the fact that can we solve daily, Rachit? At least you need to solve around 15 sets in a week. Not necessarily daily, but put a number to 15. Okay, and daily dose tests are coming now. That gives you at least 3-4 a week. You have topic tests coming your way, so that gives you a good number. 15 sets in a week, I think, is required across genres. Okay, and patience. Don't look at the solutions when you solve the sets. If the time is over, don't see the solutions. Try it yourself. Even if it takes half an hour, even if it takes 40 minutes, put in an effort to solve it. Don't be tempted to look at the solutions. Most of the time you see solutions and say, this was the way I was also thinking. So anyways, I know it. You don't know it. Till you do it yourself, even if that takes inordinately a long period of time, it doesn't make you feel confident about being able to solve on the actual day. Okay, remember, nerves, test day, funda, butterflies in the stomach, a lot of things happen on the day. So the efficacy with which you solve at home is not necessarily the same as the efficacy at which you solve at the test center. So patience is the key, guys, and practice, of course, nevertheless. You have to do it very religiously. इसमें और कोई there's no easy. Thank you, guys. I think I'll stop there. Sazil.
Hello, sir. Thank you. Thanks a lot for such a great session. Yeah, so now we are moving on to the VARC section. Yeah. So we have Rahul sir with us. Good afternoon, sir. Hi, sir.
Good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible. Yeah.
Just one sec. Let me check.
Yeah.
Yeah.